All right, this is the Seth episode, the first Seth episode. Not sure what it's going to be in our line of episodes, but Seth, welcome.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to do this. Excited to you guys want. I'll be your regular guest. Come on every once in a while. Inject some life into this thing.
I mean, there's a lot of stories I'm sure we could tell, which I don't know if you want them on the internet, but
I mean, half of them, yes, half of them will die with us up in
yeah,
Vanderpolis Fraternus. So
Vanderpool. So
We'll
yeah, I
have to
guess
let
that's
you
a,
review this episode before we post it anyway.
yeah, it's true. Yeah, yeah. This way, in like 10 years, it's out there somewhere, and your kid comes across it and has to rethink everything.
just be like, just never Google my name, kid. You'll be fine. Yeah, you know your Uncle Rich and Uncle Tyler, they're famous now. They got this big old podcast. Just don't look for my episode. It's fine.
Yeah, we got some crazy stories, but I guess that's a good segue into where it all began. You talked about Vanderpool's fraternitus. So why don't you tell what's your version of how we met?
I mean, I can tell you, so the most vivid memories I have as they've disappeared over time is my first memory of Rich is we were in our first hall meeting and they were trying I don't even remember if it was a survey or what, but they were like, group where you came from, and they were like, if you're in the Northeast, go sit over here, and then they listed off the states, and they're like, if you live in like the mid-Atlantic, go live over here, and then they put New Jersey in the mid-Atlantic, and I've never seen a human being so mad that their state has been placed in a certain region. And I was like, this kid's weird. Like, I don't think I'll ever hang
I
out with this kid.
thought we were part of
Uh,
New England. I
right,
don't.
of
That's why I need to
course.
go to college. I had to
What?
I
learn
mean,
that it was part of the Mid Atlantic.
You thought
I,
you thought New Jersey was part of New England?
yeah, I thought like New Jersey or like Delaware up was because that was like the original colonies and it wasn't the South. So I figured basically it was like well maybe it was like Maryland and up was New England, and then down from there was the South.
Man, those
I
New
mean,
Jersey public schools.
yikes, yeah,
Geography isn't the greatest.
I don't even know Mid Atlantic was
yikes,
like a thing really until that survey or
yikes,
whatever it
man.
was.
No, and then I met Tyler in his towel. I came back
Oh
from
yeah.
class one day and he was chilling in my. So we had the suite. So it was like the common room and then each dorm in the common room, and he was chilling in my common room, and he's like, "Hey," I was like, "Oh, hey, what's going on?" And he's like, "Yeah, go look down in my room," which happened a lot freshman year. We were pretty irresponsible human beings. It's fine. And
We
that's
were
when I
making a
met.
lot.
And yeah, I mean, you still probably are. I don't know the last time you two have hung out together. I don't know if I want to know that. But yeah, so from there, I started hanging out in your guys' room because I had a crazy roommate who ironed undershirts at 3 o'clock in the morning
And socks.
and socks, and he had to get his work done in the booth,
Yeah,
and
always in the booth.
The
except he
booth.
never was in the booth. He like loved taking those late hours because they paid so much. So he'd set his alarm, and then he wouldn't wake up when his alarm went off. I
Yeah, he
had
was a
just a
character.
nightmare. Just a
He was a
nightmare.
character. Do you remember the time I like I had a bottle of water and whatever happened, I like tipped it and literally like it fell over, but maybe a drop of water came to like went towards you. He jumps back in his chair. He's like, "Damn, Rich!" He was a funny kid. I mean, he was
He
different,
was
but
he was interesting. Looking back, I mean, we can all say here, so that was what? So that was 2008,
yeah,
15 years ago at this point. I mean, we are all much different than we were 15 years ago. Me today, I'm sitting here, I'm going, this kid was an oddball, but he actually was kind of funny.
oh yeah,
His reactions to things were hilarious. Anytime anybody, he'd look up from his little phone and just be like, "What?"
yeah. He'd always like go like, and he'd like look over and he'd see, yeah, he'd see him on his phone. Yeah, he was good. I mean, I think honestly, I look back like even like the town I grew up in and then going to college, I was really fortunate. There's very few people I could say I didn't like. There might be some people I didn't get along with entirely, but for the most part, all good kids, especially there. We had a good house freshman year.
We had a great house freshman year. We were very lucky. We were real lucky. We got that one quad that was available sophomore year, and then we
Yeah,
held on to it until I graduated.
for 3 years.
We
Yeah,
managed we managed to hold on to it. I think we only ever registered with four people in it once, and we managed to hold on to it. I don't know how that
yeah.
happened, but
Hmm.
we were able to do it. So it
You
was
lived there for
worth it.
3 years, Seth?
Yeah, I lived there sophomores, junior, and senior year.
Damn.
I was the no, Tichu. Tichu was there the whole time too.
And then Rich
Yeah,
had the
teacher.
Disney thing one year or something.
Rich
Yeah,
did the
took the
Disney thing one year. Justin came in after you left. So yeah.
Yeah, took a semester off. Yeah, Justin. Yeah, Justin filled in your spot. I was actually talking to a teacher the other day. Believe it or not,
He's
just
still
like
again, we could do a whole episode just of
we
catching
should
up
get
with
him
these
on. We should
dude.
get him on, man. I
Dude,
mean,
we
what
could
is he?
do a roommate episode. Are you kidding me? Or we just get everybody on? Oh
Dude,
man.
I mean, I think about some of the shit we did or some of the shit that was said in that room, and it's just like, I mean, just extremely immature, cringe.
Seth and I fighting over foosball.
Foosball, yeah, just like there's so many
Foosball, the
emotions.
Patriots, Brett Favre, who is a terrible human being.
What was the argument? Brett Favre was better than Tom
Brett Favre,
Brady?
Tom Brady, because Tom Brady at the time had the same number of rings as Brett Favre, I believe. Oh, Brett Favre had the passing record or something stupid. I don't even know. Doesn't matter. Tom Brady's got them all now. So
Did you see the jar of or like the mason jar full of sand from where he retired? Like somebody found the place on the beach where he was sitting during his retirement video. They filled this like mason jar up or whatever with
yeah,
his
they're
with the
trying to
sand.
sell it. Yeah,
It was like
ridiculous.
$90,000 or something like that.
Yeah,
Ridiculous.
Someone put a bid in at 90K.
Yeah, dude, it started off at like a couple $100 or whatever, and then it went all the way up to like 90. It was something absurd.
Oh shit.
Yeah, the last I saw it was like
I mean, he's
around
good.
there.
He's good. He's not a jar of sand for $90,000. Good.
I mean, someone's willing to pay it.
Tyler,
Yeah,
what have
you
you
gotta
been
wonder who
up
the
to?
fuck actually paid
What
that.
have you been up to, Tyler? Are you paying $90,000 for Tom Brady sand?
Well, I was actually the guy who got the sand.
Dude, that if honestly, good on you. Next time that shit happens, whatever crazy celebrity it is, I'm gonna fly and do that shit because people are
Bust
nuts,
up some
man.
concrete and sell it on the internet. Hey, they stood in the spot.
Go catch.
Yeah,
Honestly, the next big one I could think of is if you could be somewhere near LeBron's last game when he does
Ooh.
the powder and you catch some of the powder. You've got evidence that you caught some of the powder. Sell that. That's probably going to be the next big one. Except when, excuse me, let me rephrase that. Unless Aaron Rodgers brings a Lombardi to the Jets first, then that might be right off into the sunset.
dude.
Hey, I don't know if you guys are going to
First
win
off,
it this year.
it's not gonna, yeah, it's not gonna happen.
So let me elaborate on this as the resident Jets fan. Anything in the world is going to be better than Zach Wilson, hands down. The man had 2 yards in the second half against a Patriots team that, Tyler, admit it, that Patriots team was not that good this past year. They just weren't. No, and Wilson had 2 yards against them and a half. So anything in the world is better than that. That being said, in Aaron Rodgers' illustrious career, he may go down as one of the statistical greatest quarterbacks of all time. He might.
Yeah, he will. He will.
He might.
I don't think he might. I think he will.
But in his entire career, he went to 1 Super Bowl, which, if you look at that roster, was vastly a huge defensive team. And since then, I mean, he's got the same track record that Mark Sanchez had in his first 2 years with the Jets. So, I look, like I said, anything better than Zach Wilson, but it is Super Bowl or bust. He either wins a Super Bowl in New York or it was a waste of time and money. End of story.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
They'll sell a lot more jerseys. They'll sell a lot of tickets.
For the franchise, for the Johnson brothers, for the New York Jets franchise, it was a fantastic move. They've already sold out way more seats this year than they have in the past 10 years. I mean, you're talking about a franchise that in the 4 major sports, not just in football, in the 4 major sports, has the longest playoff drought of any team in the 4 major U.S. sports. Ridiculous.
That's crazy.
So
is it really?
Yeah, 12 years. 12 years. Every team. I mean, you could sit here and put your little stars because the COVID years, a lot of teams made it into things that, wouldn't have naturally made it. But yeah, statistic in the 4 sports, the Jets are the longest drought in playoffs of all 4 sports. I heard that one day while we were waiting anxiously for Aaron Rodgers to make his move, and I had to double check it and was very sad.
What do you think drew him to the Jets?
I think
paid any attention to it.
I mean, I think there's a lot of youth there. I mean, he hasn't been happy in Green Bay in 3 years. He really hasn't. You
Yeah, that I
saw it
did
in
know.
2020 when there was the Aaron Rodgers is upset they're going to trade him, and then magically he got a big contract. So he hasn't been happy there since then, I don't think. I think the youthfulness helped him. They did a shared preseason practices in a game. Would have been 2 years ago, Zach Wilson's rookie year. He knows Zach Wilson. So I think there's the draw of him coming and trying to mentor this kid. Um, he knows Bob Saleh, the coach. I think he really likes that relationship. And the Jets were smart. They went out and got his old offensive coordinator and made him their offensive coordinator. They went out and they got his receivers and they made him their receivers. I mean, they did everything they could to make it Aaron Rodgers' team. So we'll
Okay,
see.
who do you think is going to be a greater asset to the Jets franchise, Rex Ryan or Aaron Rodgers?
That's a tough one because Rex brought a lot of hope to a team that prior to Rex hadn't had any hope.
Yeah,
So, he did well, and then he did poorly, and then he left.
yeah,
I don't think Rodgers is going to be there long enough unless he brings Lombardi. I
yeah, yeah,
don't think he's going to be there long enough to do that. I
yeah.
think
To make
there's a
any
lot of
comparison.
hope right now, but let's face facts here. The AFC, don't even leave the AFC East. You've still got Josh Allen. Then outside of that, you've still got, I don't know, two-time Super Bowl champ Patrick Mahomes. You still got Joey Breeze down in Cincinnati. I mean, the AFC is stacked, just absolutely stacked.
Yeah,
So bringing in 38, 39-year-old Aaron Rodgers, like he's going to be the resurgence. Yeah, absolutely. He's incredibly talented, and I think he's going to do good things. This team is young. This team is hungry. I get it, but got to get out of the AFC before you can do anything else.
yeah. That's true. That's
How,
true.
how
Do
many
you
years
remember when
was
Rex?
how many years was the contract?
It's a 3-year deal,
Okay.
but it's very fluid. I think the Jets are going to be willing to eat a lot of that money. Um, in fact, they're still sort of wary on it. One of the picks that they gave the Packers was a conditional. If he plays X amount, they get a second round. If he plays X amount, they get a first round pick. So
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Do you remember when Rex Ryan came to the team and he was like calling up all the season ticket holders or whatever beforehand? Like he really, you talk about bringing the energy.
he did,
How-
and he delivered. He brought him to 2 AFC Championship
Yeah.
games.
What?
Just
It
so
was like
happens
back to
that they
back,
ran
right?
it. Yeah, yeah. It just so
Yeah.
happens that they ran into buzzsaws those 2 years in that Pittsburgh Steeler team and that Indianapolis Colt team. But
Yeah. 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 And that was what his first year there, the year that the Giants won.
no, his first year there was the Saints beating the Colts, and his second year there, no, yeah, no, and his second year there was the Steelers losing to Green Bay, I believe.
Oh yeah, you're right. Because Giants won 2007, 2008 season, and then 2011, 2012, I
Yeah,
think
they
was
won
when
our
they won.
senior. They won our senior year. They won our senior year of high school and our senior year of
Yeah.
my senior year of undergrad.
Yeah. 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 Dude, I'll
Because all
never
I
forget.
remember from that is we watched it at what used to be social, no idea what it is now. And Rich was running around afterward, climbing on people's shoulders, getting shots poured in his mouth.
Oh my God, I remember that. Yeah, man. I remember I had to leave the bar for a little bit because I was like so angry the Giants were, I guess at one point it looked like they were losing. I can't really recall the game that much, to be honest, but I do remember
You
I remember
left. You just straight left.
I
You was
left and
gone
I
for
was in the
like
parking
20
lot.
minutes.
Yeah, I was just
Yeah.
trying to cool off. I remember some guy running up to me after like the last touchdown and just grabbing me and hugging me. And I don't know this guy from Adam. And he grabs me and just goes, I fucking love you, man. Like everyone was so jacked up. The girl, yeah, on the guy's like shoulders and like pouring liquor down everybody's throat. Yeah, dude, it was crazy, man. That was a good time. That was a good, but I think the first Super Bowl was better, I think, because it
I
was
would
like,
disagree
well, for you,
for both of
yeah.
them. They both are terrible.
Tyler's being suspiciously quiet about these two giant Super
He'll
Bowls.
never
I
forget
wonder
that Super
why.
Bowl either. Yeah, that was like the biggest upset. And then I remember
I
going to the,
I think he ended up okay though. Tyler, I think you're happy with how things
I'm
went in New
satisfied with
England
the last 20
overall.
years, but
Yeah.
those two burn a little bit.
yeah, yeah. I remember going to the parade and like, dude, actually all the parades I've been to, except I think maybe one. No, all of them. I mean, the Giants when I was all the way across like whatever that common area or park is in front of City Hall. So the Giants were like over there. We couldn't see them. And we tried, my sister and I tried so for so long to get there. And then the Yankee parade, I was able to get around the barricade. Some little guy that barely spoke English told me to just go through a corner store because it was like there was like a barricade, but then on the corner of the street. But then like if you went in the door here in the bodega, there's a side door you could just walk through. And this little guy is just like, just go through. And I'm like, I don't know. This seems really sketchy. There's cops. Like, am I gonna get like jumped on the way through? Like, what's going on? And then all of a sudden I came right behind the cops and they're all facing this way. And I just like hauled ass like down the street to the parade. Then the people we were with, this one kid, actually a bunch of these kids were like blackout. So it was trying to hold them back from the crowd because one guy goes to the other kid, if you touch me again, because he was bumping into everybody, he's like, I'm literally gonna kill you. So we're like trying to like contain these kids. So yeah, all of my parade experience has been ruined by either just trying to get there and it just, I don't know, the city's a mess when those things happen.
I mean, that's you're in New York City, dude.
Yeah, you're in New York
People are
City.
people are
Exactly.
assholes in New York City. Like it
I
is what
know.
it is.
It's true. I never would have seen it before I left the East Coast, but like now that I've been away and when I go home, I'm like, damn, people really like to fight here.
They're so angry all the
They
time.
all they are
Dude,
angry all
and
the time.
it's not even just the city. When last time we were up in Syracuse a month and a half ago, like I don't even remember what it was. Someone bumped into me in a grocery store or something, and they like scoffed at me, and I was like, dude, I'm sorry, you bumped into me. Whereas like out here in Cleveland, someone bumps into you, you're gonna have a 20-minute conversation that's got nothing to do with being bumped into. People are just that nice out here.
Yeah, that's true. But that also is a pain in the ass because like living in the
Oh
Midwest, I
my
will
God, dude.
say,
If you are in a hurry, do not go into, first of all, never go into Menards if you're in a hurry. Because
oh
all the old
dude, that's exactly what I was gonna say.
never go into Menards.
That's
Because
what I was gonna say.
the old people working there, man, they just want to chat and
Holy
oh
shit.
What's
man.
a Menards?
It's
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 like
like
a Lowe's or a Home Depot.
Okay.
yeah, it's like a Lowe's and a Walmart combined. Actually, it's one of my favorite stores, I will say. But like she doesn't like when I yell. But dude, like yeah, the cashiers, they'll talk to everybody about anything. Just Midwesterners in general, just like super nice, which is good, but it does come with like you're waiting in line for 10 minutes and it's like, oh, my son did this, my kid did that. And you're just like, oh, I don't really give a shit. I'm trying to buy like this, tool so I can go do the job I'm doing.
Yeah, I got shit to do. Like, shut the
Yeah.
fuck
So,
up.
but I will say, like, I've definitely slowed down since I left. But you could tell, and I think Seth, you say that, right? But like that's in Syracuse. That's not even like the heart of it, which is like
Exactly.
the
Dude, I don't even
tri-state.
I get eaten up in the tri-state area right now. I get
Yeah.
eaten up there.
Like that 50 mile, if you put like a pin in Manhattan, you draw even like a 30-mile, 40-mile radius around it.
Ridiculous.
Everyone there's just pissed off. Even you get out before you get off the plane, people are arguing sometimes. It's nuts, but it's home. And the pizza's really good. So
That's
like
that's
I
true. The
I feel
pizza's
like
the
I've lived
pizza's
in
good. The
Jersey the
bagels are good.
longest, right? I've probably lived in
You
Jersey longer. I don't think you, well, at least the
no.
last 15 years. Bro, you moved out when you're 18.
Yeah, but then I lived in Jersey City and I lived at home for
Ah,
like a year or two after
damn.
college, maybe like
I
a
was
year.
almost more
you're
Jersey than you.
close. I mean, does it really count though? You live in like 17 different places now.
And yeah,
So
I have lived all over. I guess Tyler, you have too though.
Yeah, but okay, over the last 15 years, I've lived in Jersey more than you. I'm
Yeah.
more
I mean,
Jersey than you are at this
you're
point.
coming you're coming up on it though. I would say like I don't know, maybe collectively I was there for 24 years.
I've lived in 4 or 5 different towns in New Jersey, so I feel like I've experienced more of the whole state.
I guess you have, yeah. I've experienced Jersey City and yeah.
So I'm more Jersey than you, I
So
think, at this point.
yeah, I guess yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Manhattan man.
New York, man.
Never thought this day would come. Never thought this day would come.
I don't think you want to brag about that, man. I don't think that's what you want on your tombstone.
All right, so what we talked about how we met Seth at Hofstra, and we talked about how Aaron Rodgers is going to be the demise of the Jets franchise, and then
That would hang on, time out. That would have to mean that the Jets franchise was like prominent. They are not.
That's
okay,
true.
you're right.
They have not been. They will not be. Look, like I said, you bring a Lombardi, it changes everything, but it's not going to be as easy as the Mike Greenbergs of the world like to think it's going to be. It's
I
just
mean, I'll say this, like there's I think you both know, Seth, you definitely know, like I don't have any love for Aaron Rodgers. Like I remember his first season playing when Favre was still there and he was coming on. I remember saying, "Yo, this kid's legit. Like he's fast, he can pass, like he's legit." But then I think over time I started to get kind of tired of him, and I feel like it's not necessarily his fault. Like the fact that he's a bit of an asshole. That's like sure, that's one thing, whatever. Plenty of athletes are though. But like I really have a disdain for the fact that this guy could literally throw a Hail Mary pass and his receiver is downfield, beats out like five other guys jumping up in the air, catches the ball, right, which takes talent obviously to be able to beat out all those guys and grab the ball. And somehow the announcer's always like, "Oh my God, Aaron Rodgers just threw the most perfect fucking pass." Like, no, he just lobbed it up in the air. He threw a Hail Mary. So the guy always gets credit for everything that somebody else does on the offense, at least. And I just like, because of that, I'm just like, I don't really like this guy. Not his fault, but I just, over the years, I'm like, man, fuck this. So I think, do I want to see him win? Part of me says, of course, like no, because then that is going to go to his head. You're going to hear it nonstop. But I guess at the end of the day, it's like it doesn't really affect my life where I should be wishing any
Yeah, but
bad on
like,
somebody.
I mean, Tyler's seen like 52 million Super Bowls for his team. You've seen 2 Super Bowls for your team. The last time the Jets won a Super Bowl, my dad was 10 years old. So,
Yeah, but you also have to realize I had the best quarterback in NFL history on the team,
I mean, yeah, clearly.
Eli Manning.
I mean, you
So
had the best, you had the better Manning brother. Yeah, duh.
without a doubt, without a doubt. So I mean, look, I get that Peyton won a couple Super Bowls, but he didn't beat Tom Brady and the undefeated Patriots. So really, I would say Eli's first ring is probably worth at least five,
6. Yeah, yeah,
six.
easily
Yeah.
5 or 6.
So,
Just biting my tongue over here.
well, here's the question. So you're a Jets fan.
No, I'm not.
No, it's Seth. Seth, you're a Jets fan. Um, your wife is a Washington Redskins fan, or
Commanders.
Baltimore,
I
Baltimore
can't say that.
Ravens.
Oh, okay, Baltimore.
Baltimore Ravens. You are 2 teams ago. You aren't even like the football team. You called them the real bad name. Come on, man.
What are they called now?
They're
The
the
Commanders.
Commanders. Although that might change. They got new ownership as of today.
Oh
So
yeah, I did see that. I
Really?
did see that.
yeah.
They should come up with a better name than the Commanders because that's a bad name. Well, why didn't they just? I don't know. I mean, I guess we shouldn't go down that rabbit hole, but it's kind of like you can't name it like the tribe that was in the area or something like that, or like the Cleveland Indians has to become the Cleveland Guardians. It's like
I mean, I prefer they should have called them the tribe. That's what everybody here called them.
or the
So
tribe. Yeah, right now you're not allowed to wear like anything to the game, which I
no,
I
you
kind of get that, I
can.
guess, right?
You
But
can. You just can't wear anything defamatory. So you can't wear like a headdress. You can't dress as a Native American. But you
yeah,
could like I have an Indian shirt. So
I'm 6% Cherokee, so I can at least wear like a. so anyway, so are you gonna raise your
What the fuck?
some things never change.
are you gonna raise your son to be like how's that gonna work?
I mean, I'm gonna let him pick his own, right? Like you introduce him to those things, you let him make his own opinion. Like I know as much as we all sit here and are like, oh yeah, we like followed our dad or whatever. Like my dad's an Eagles fan and I hate the Eagles. So you follow your parents as much as you want, but like it's not like I'm gonna be like, no, you can only watch Yankees games and Jets games. No
Yeah.
Ravens and no Nationals for you.
Being
But
miserable.
if
I mean, at the
if
end,
he starts cheering for those teams, are you gonna
no, whatever. I
not
don't
gonna shit
care.
on him a little bit?
No, I mean, yeah, he's my kid. Of course I'm gonna shit on him, but like I'm not gonna be like, no, you are not my son anymore.
You should
I'm not.
open the
You're not
door.
even my daughter.
Honestly, Seth, don't make him be a Jets fan.
I
Don't bring
don't.
that
I mean,
upon him.
That's cool.
the sad fact is like being that I now live in a city where literally like the teams play 20 minutes from here. It's not like, oh, you're from the area. No, like the team's stadiums are 20 minutes from here. I don't want my kid to be a Browns fan though. You kidding me? I can't do that to him either. So
True.
Yeah.
I'm
True.
okay if he's a Guardians fan. I got no problem with that. I got no problem if he wants to be a Cleveland Cavaliers fan, but I don't want him to be a Browns fan. Nobody should have to be a Browns fan. So
Yeah, it's almost that's on the same level as being a Jets fan.
Last few years it's definitely better.
True.
well,
Jets had their years in there, so
yeah,
did.
and I mean they don't have a convicted rapist as their quarterback, so that's a plus.
that's a plus.
typically a plus. Yeah, I would say at the very least that's something
But
going for him.
in most scenarios. Yes.
But every team's going to have like a drought, though, right? Like the Giants were abysmal for up until this year, right? So I mean, he could be a Browns fan, and all of a sudden it's
yeah,
going
but
well. He's a
I
Jets
think your
fan.
goal is to not have a drought. I mean, you're allowed to have down years, but you never want to be a team that go like it's disgusting taste in my mouth to know that stat that I told you about the Jets playoff drought. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
it
Yeah,
go
sucks.
a couple years without it, especially in this day and age when free agency is what it is, and these guys are making the money they're making, and teams are willing to spend whatever on these guys. Like, I get it, there's going to be turnover, but like, I mean, the Patriots have had one year where they didn't make the playoffs. That stings, but I think you can live with that. Now, if we're talking in 5 years from now and they haven't been back to the playoffs, now you start to be like, well, this isn't good.
Right.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's what you want to avoid.
Yeah, I
So
get that. I get that. Devils, I mean, they just got knocked out, but they
but
they
the
they
beat
they knocked the
beat the
Rangers out though.
Rangers though.
Yeah,
Beat
that's
the
all that matters.
Rangers.
And I have text proof saying to my friends like, if we get knocked out next round, it is what it is because we beat the Rangers. Like
Beat the
that's all I care
Rangers.
about.
That's
It's just
all that
pissing them off.
matters.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so let me ask you this, right? You have obviously like being a parent, right? And I'm like I'm making light or joking about who's gonna be a fan of, how you're gonna raise them. But like as a parent, do you think about these things, and do you just think about every scenario?
Every single day, dude. Every single day. It is the most rewarding thing I've ever done. It is also the most difficult thing I have ever done. I have my PhD, okay? To your listeners out there who don't know what that entails, that's 6 years of my life and a 250-page thesis. That's very hard thing to do, and this trumps that 15 times over.
Wait,
I
250 page thesis
for my PhD, yeah. There
Holy
was
shit.
in 6 years?
yeah.
Oh, dude, I've written like 50 page papers in like a night, like the night before it was due. So that's not that bad.
Yeah,
Come
but all
on.
the work that goes into the
Wait, I didn't go to school for like 3 years. I met you guys. I didn't go to school for 3 years. I finished school and Seth was still in school. That's how long he went to school for
Yeah, I went to
Yeah, dude,
school.
it was
chemistry.
I went to
yeah.
school for a very long time. I have a lot of letters after my name. That's not the point. We can dive down that trip in a little bit. But yeah, no, fatherhood, dude, parenthood is so surreal because you have to live so much in the now. Like every day is its own thing. Like
Yeah.
yesterday, two great naps, went to bed super good. I can't pat myself on the back for that because today's a whole new day. He napped like shit today. Today was a nightmare for me because I was awake with him all day. I got no me time, right? So you have to live it day to day, but you also always in the back of your head are like, all right, things are easy now, right? He's not cognizant of things in life. I can still let an F bomb fly. I can still, I can still listen to the Pat McAfee show while we go for our walk during the day and not worry that my kid's going to be impressionable about these things. But they they change so quickly, and you have to adapt so quickly that I constantly catch myself like, what about 7, 8 years from now when he comes home crying because he got bullied on the bus? Like, how do I handle that? I don't know. No one taught
Train
me how to do
jujitsu.
this.
Train
Exactly
jujitsu.
right.
You better start training him now so he won that altercation there.
I mean,
Yeah.
I give him nunchucks at bedtime every night. I think that Caitlin probably takes them away from him. She's like the health professional. She's like, don't sleep with anything. So no, I kid. But yeah, dude, it also goes back to what we were just talking about, where like 15 years ago we were also immature, and Tyler and I would fight over foosball and who's better. And nowadays I'm just like, I don't have the time, energy, brain capacity. Like I just can't do that. My whole focus has to be on him and then us as a cohesive unit as a family. So it's tough in that sense. My family is definitely still not really on board with that. They still think like we can drop everything at the drop of a hat and go to Syracuse for a weekend or drive all the way to
Okay.
Vermont for a weekend. And I'm like, guys, I can't do that. For me to take a 5 hour trip to Syracuse is a week and a half lost in sleep training and getting his schedule is
Yeah, yeah.
like I couldn't imagine. So again, let me back up a little bit because we'll come at this. Obviously your listeners have no idea who I am or what I did. So as you guys know, I got my PhD. I was in a 2 year postdoc. I was working running a lab here in Cleveland. and then we got pregnant. And long story short, things in the lab did not jive well with.
What happened to your what happened to your baby?
I hate you both.
I wanted to make a joke
did
too.
you know I was gonna okay
Yeah.
because
I
I saw you
hate you
laugh.
both so much. I hate you both so much. Sorry, Caitlin got pregnant, and back to so my job, which was I was probably working 55, 60 hours a week. Um, that wasn't going to be able to happen after the baby came. That just
Sure.
it's not sustainable life. But then they found out that I got 8 weeks fully paid parental leave, which not many people get dad leave. Moms are lucky to get 6 weeks, and like Caitlin only got 6 weeks, and she only got paid at 60% for those 6 weeks.
Oh, damn.
So it's not all frills and fancy when the baby pops out. It's anything but a vacation. Um, but between the way I was treated and all that, I made a full career change, and I took a 50% pay cut to go teach classes at a community college and stay home with my son all day, every day. So she works Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. She works late on Tuesdays, and then she's home at about 6:30 on Wednesdays, Thursdays, 6 o'clock on Fridays. So I am on daddy duty from 8 a.m. till 3 days a week, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, one day a week until 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. And it's tasking, man. It's hard work. I can remember early on being like, I didn't do anything today. I didn't get out of my PJs today. Why do I feel like I just ran a marathon? Why do I feel like Tyler after he's run one of his 100-mile insanity races? It's a lot of work, and just when you think you figure it out, something changes. Something changes. So whether he's cutting out a nap, or his feeding times have changed, or now he's learned to crawl, and so I'm on the move throughout my house 6 to 7 hours out of the day just trying to keep up with him. But it's all worth it, man. It's all worth it. The way you see him when he smiles, when he reacts, like when you disappear from a room and then you come in and he gets all excited and his legs are kicking, and you just hope that he turns into a cool little dude. So
He looks just like you did freshman. Like if you put a chin strap on him, he looks just like you did freshman year.
dude, so are you ready? So since you mentioned chin strap, you guys, I don't think you guys have ever seen me with no facial hair, but you certainly,
One
but
time
you,
in
yeah.
college. Yeah.
So we're at the height. So he was a rock star sleeper early on. Rock star. Now by rock star, I mean he still had to wake up every 3 to 4 hours early on and get fed, but he was sleeping through the night at like 4 months old, which cool, great. Then earlier this year, he got sick, which was backed up by a tooth, which was backed up by travel. It was just a whole mess. And we were waking up every 2 hours every single night. No one was sleeping. No one was happy. Everybody was at everybody's throats. It was a nightmare. So we finally determined we're going to just do the hardcore sleep training, which is you literally put them in their crib and they cry until they fall asleep. Now, my kid, you guys know me. I just told you I've matured over the years, but you can back up. I am a stubborn motherfucker, and my kid is just as stubborn as I am. So he in those first couple nights, he cried for 2-3 hours. So it's day 3, right? And he the night before was awake from about 10:30 at night till 3 a.m. straight. Not like I could rock with him in a chair and both of us could. He was awake straight.
Holy
So
crap.
we were naturally awake straight.
Like crying for 5 hours.
Like crying, fussy, just angry, just nothing you could do would make him happy. So next morning, luckily it's Caitlin's later morning, so we don't have to get moving as quickly. So I'm like, all right, you've showered. I don't have the energy to get a workout in today, so I'm just gonna shower. So I went and I showered, and then I was like, shit, I gotta clean the bathroom today because it's cleaning time. And this is the only time I'm gonna get to clean. So I was like, all right, trim my beard, right? As you always trim your beard right before you clean the bathroom. So I put the guide on, I trim up my beard, and then I take the guide off and I do my neckline. I notice I missed a spot on my cheek. So I take my buzzer and I go, psst. And then before I even like think twice, recognize it, I realized I didn't put the guide back on. So I had cut right up the side of my cheek.
Oh no.
And so I have had this full beard now. I did the math. I'm pretty sure I have had this full beard for 13 years, give or take, 12, 13 years. I mean, Caitlin surely has never seen me without it. We've been together for almost 8 years. So
She was like,
I
"What
was
the hell?" She was scared.
oh my God, I was so distraught. So I didn't even think to like do funny mustaches or anything. I just shaved it all off. And then I went in and showed her and she goes, "Oh." But that wasn't even the worst part. The worst part is she's getting ready to go. She gives me Colin and he like leans away from me and like won't come near me and he's just staring at me. And that was just the impetus of that. So yeah, in sleep deprivation, the worst thing that happened was I shaved off my entire face.
You didn't even want to
So
go for like the mustache or
dude, I
anything?
was so distraught. I didn't even think to. Later on that day, after I had calmed down, Caitlin was like, "I'm shocked you didn't even do like a fun goatee or mustache or anything." And I was like, "I
Yeah.
didn't even think to." Like, I was so
Was that a
upset.
passive aggressive way of her telling you she doesn't she
Yeah,
doesn't like you
what the hell
She
did
does.
you do?
Oh my gosh! So she tells me later. She goes. I think I can say this now. She goes, I think I like you better with a beard. And I was like, thank you. One, you just told me I look terrible without a beard. But two, I've been trying it because every year she goes, if you shave your beard on October 31st, I'll let you do no shave November. And I was like, it's not happening. It's just not happening. So
I did Movember for a little bit, but we were painting the bathroom or doors or whatever it was, and I got a bunch of like paint in my like it fell down because I was reaching up. Got all like
Into your mustache?
yeah, like my facial, yeah, basically my mustache and my shadow. So I just had to get rid of it all. But I attempted Movember, but then you realize too, like you like a lot of people probably don't know that you're doing Movember.
and they just think you're a pedophile.
They probably just
Exactly.
think,
I
yeah, you're a
understand.
pedophile. You're just like that's an ugly fucking guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because it's like at first it's not really full.
Tyler,
So
you got an excuse, Tyler. All the dudes you hang out with probably are mustache only, so it's fine.
Not just drill weekends. I'd have to shave, so
do you
that's all I
keep
can
it?
keep.
Do you keep it like a mustache though?
Now, sometimes I don't, but
Yeah, yeah.
currently I'm in a phase where I do. So I haven't shaved my mustache in like 6 months, but the rest I have to.
Gotcha, gotcha. So Seth, I mean that all sounds. I'm not gonna
Miserable.
lie. Yeah, it sounds. Yeah, it sounds
It
pretty
is.
bad.
No, dude, it like I'm gonna sit here and tell you right now, if you want to be real about it, like having a kid isn't for everybody. Like
Yeah, yeah.
now that I have one, I'm sitting here and I'm like, I know some people, and obviously I'm not gonna say who, I'm not gonna ever expel those people in life, but I know
You
some
can
people
you
in
can
their
DM
lives.
us,
Yeah,
DM
of
those
course
to us.
I'll
Yeah.
DM them to you.
Okay.
We'll
Well,
just say
to
we'll
you.
edit it out. We'll just edit
Oh yeah,
it
yeah,
Cut that, cut that, cut
yeah.
that. No, man, it's one of those things where like it's like these people are like, oh, I can't wait to have a kid. Oh, I can't wait to do this. And I'm like, now that I have one, I'm sitting here going, you wouldn't survive. You wouldn't. I mean, those first 2 or 3 weeks, we had an alarm set for every 3 hours. I was up 4 times the night. We were feeding him. Um, there's a lot of stuff that happened. There's a lot of, I want to keep it as a lighthearted podcast, but there's in those hospital days are scary. And they're not scary in the sense of like, oh my God, they're gonna just let me leave with this thing and I don't have to pass a test. They're scary in the sense that like Caitlin carried this kid for 9 months, right? And then the kid came out of her. And so obviously there's a physical connection, a biological connection between these two. It's natural, it happens right away. Dads don't have that connection. Some will sit here and tell you they do. I will right now, I can tell you I do. Absolutely, I do. That kid is my best friend. Sorry, you guys. You guys are still up there,
Okay, gotta go.
but like those first couple days when you're in the hospital and you're not sleeping, I pretty sure I got maybe an hour and a half of sleep in 2 days. I probably would have gotten a little more, but Caitlin ended up with an epidural and they did what was called a wet tap. So they actually hit her spinal cord with the first
Ooh.
tap into the spinal cord. So she ended up getting migraines. So she was bedridden for the 2 days. Then he was difficult at birth, so she ended up with high blood pressure and they thought she had an infection. So she was on antibiotics and all sorts of meds. So she was out. I mean, the poor girl was literally just knocked out, rough cold, unbelievable thing. I mean, it's what happens when you have a completely uncomplicated pregnancy. Of course, it's going to bounce back and get you. But like that meant that like I was on extra, like I had to change the diapers. I learned how to do the bath. Like I held him whenever he was upset and it wasn't feeding time. So I got maybe 2 hours of sleep. And so compound incredible sleep deprivation, incredible sets of emotions being in that room. You're trying to wrap your head around all this. You're trying to be that person who, like, you have to control all the situations because she just gave birth. So that's the last thing she wants to do is try and control who's coming in and out of her room, who's calling, who's not calling, what meals to order, things like that. And then you compound that with these, you're worried that you're never going to love this child. It can get dark. It's scary. And I was very lucky. Our neighbors actually had a kid 3 weeks, 4 weeks before us. And we went over to meet the kid, and him and I went to the other room and had a beer. And he told me that's the only reason I half expected this is because he told me that's what he went through and he was scared and there was darkness. And so it's not like I was like, okay, this is what this is and I'm okay, but like I understood it when it happened.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of one of the things I have talked to. We've had a couple friends who have had kids since, and I've been like, guys, text me at 2 o'clock in the morning the day you're sitting in the hospital bed with your kid and he's crying and you think all he's ever going to do is cry and you are worried because you feel like you're not his dad, like you have no connection to him. And I'll tell you that that's how I felt, and it all ends up fine.
Yeah.
But there's dark times like that. I mean, I can very vividly remember he was a month and a half old and he just cried and cried and cried and cried. And Caitlin took him upstairs. My family was in town. We were all supposed to go to the zoo. And Caitlin took him upstairs to change him. And she was up there for 25 minutes. And I was like, all right, this is way too long for a feed in a diaper. So I go upstairs and she's just in the nursery and she's crying and baby's crying. And I just like, you just have to take everything that's not your child and your wife and just push it all away, especially in those early months. And I struggled with it. Some days I still struggle with it. Some days I sit here and I go, you know what? I had a shitty day and no one asked me how I was doing and no one asked me if I was okay. And then I'm
Yeah.
like,
So then you go and take it
doesn't
on
matter.
then.
Well, that's not
Holes in the
even that.
wall.
I mean, yeah, I
Holes in the
mean,
wall.
we have what's called a rage wall in our house now. It's full of holes.
Wait, do you
No,
really?
no,
Oh, you had me.
no,
You had me.
it's that's where this new, you know, we can all sit here and be like, we've matured and we're better, and we all are, but there's even a whole new sense of maturity where I can step back and be like, it's not my time to have a rough day. It's not my time to worry if other people think I'm okay. There are certain times where I will look at Caitlin and I'll be like, you know what? I'm having a shitty day today. I'm sorry. It's got to get real bad. But you have to have a strong partner who you both recognize when someone's having a shittier day than the other one. You just have to be the level-headed one. And then you just got to be able to adapt and go with it. And it's not all flowers. It's all worth it. It's all worth it. The kid is the most adorable thing in the world. I have so much fun. I could not be happier. He is adorable. I can't wait until I've already started putting baseballs in his left hand because I want him to be a left-handed pitcher that switch hits. Watch out, Otani, we're coming for you.
Does he sleep with a glove on yet?
Not yet. Caitlin won't let me put anything on the crib in him. She's like, I'm the medical professional. I know what's right. And I'm like,
Just sneak it
fine.
in there. Just sneak it in there.
Exactly. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's all worth it, man. I couldn't be happier. The pros 1000% outweigh the cons. So
You said like you were worried about, am I ever gonna love this kid? Like, what did you mean by that?
you don't feel like a connection per se. Like you can love something, that's fine, but you don't feel connected to it. You don't feel like it's yours almost. You kind of are like, all right, I was part in this, but like I could walk away from this baby and not feel sad about it, right? I wouldn't miss it. I would be okay with it. I don't feel any now today. I would absolutely. I miss the kid when I'm gone for 3 hours, right? Like when we go and have a parents' day when our folks are in town or something, we get to the point where we've been out for a couple hours. We're like, we want to go hang out with our kid. Like I love that's that love, but you don't. That's not there right away. It's just not because you didn't give birth to it, and no one's
Okay.
no one's really caring about you in the process. The only thing they cared about is they wanted to make sure I wasn't going to faint when she gave birth. That was very nice of them. There was never a fear of that, man. I was a rock star. I got put into a job that I
You
was
were like,
not
I'm ready
supposed
for
to.
this.
No, so I had always had the rule of staying behind the line of scrimmage. That was since Caitlin and I had first started talking about kids, I was like, I'm gonna stay behind the line of scrimmage. And then as it gets time to happen, and hopefully Caitlin never watches this podcast because I don't know if she likes when I tell this story. The OB comes in and goes, okay, are we ready to have a baby? And she looks at me like I'm the one who has to give her permission to say yes. I'm like, well, I looked at her, I go, yes. The answer there is yes. Like, we don't have a choice at this point. So we're getting all prepped up, and there's a ton of people in there. And again, I'm getting ready. I'm like, I'm behind the line of scrimmage. I'm ready to go. And she goes, okay, Dad. And you're going to put one arm here, and she's going to push her leg right into your arm. And I was like, excuse me. And next thing I know, I'm like, smack dab on the line of scrimmage. It was not where I expected to be, but you know what? We powered through. So it was
Crazy, man. We lived to tell the tale.
So,
it
so
was
is he talking yet?
he's doing a lot of babbling, so he does a lot of like da 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 and da ba. He's doing a lot of
Okay.
mimicking. So like if you do, he'll do that back to you, and he clicks, and no real words yet though. He's doing a lot of sitting up. He crawls like a beast. He's starting to pull himself up. He doesn't actually stand free yet. He doesn't walk, but
Okay.
he's close. He's
What is
close.
he, like about a year old now?
Be a year old at the end of the month.
May
Yeah.
End of the
30th.
month.
Good
Damn,
job.
that was quick. Is
My
it
mom's
really?
birthday
Okay.
too. That's how I remember.
Yeah. It's been crazy how fast it happened. Crazy.
So do you think, I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't even know where to go. Like when, well, I guess, what are you most excited for? Like, if you think the next, I don't know,
Is walking exciting? Is like
yeah, like
what's
what's the next big milestone that you
Honestly,
can't wait to get to?
honestly,
when he says dad?
I am I you know how when we were 18 and 19 and we all wanted to be tough and rough, and we got into fights with each other, and guys can't cry and guys can't show emotion and whatnot. All that's gone, dude. Every new thing that he does is exciting. Every new thing he does is fun. I mean, the kid grabbed his junk for the first time the other day and I got excited. Now 3 days later, when I'm trying to change a poop diaper and he reaches his hand down there, not so great. But the first time he like grabs it, like, and not just accident, like he touched it and he was like, oh, there's stuff down there. Like, you're like, sweet. Like, I mean, the other day he made a new noise and you're like, sweet. Today he's doing this weird, like, I'm like, sweet. Like, it's all exciting. Every new thing that he does is exciting. And it's ridiculous because it's things that, like, if this is not your kid, like you two, you guys are like, this guy is crazy. But when it's your kid, it's so cool to see it all.
Well, it's like funny because it's like when it's a baby doing it, you're like, sweet. But if it's like if it's anyone who's like, when the kid's like 5, if he's just standing there going, and you're like, yo, is something wrong with this kid? Like, it's just so funny what's acceptable at that age and what's not.
Dude, I've already got a bad feeling this kid's gonna be one of those, but why kids, where you just say something and you just keep going, but why? But why? He is so persistent. His latest thing is he really likes opening and closing doors, like swinging them. And he will just constantly do it. And I'll like stop it. And I'll be like, Colin, you need to stop. Like, we're done opening and closing the door. And he'll just sit there and like I'll be holding it one way and he'll still push the other way. And I'm like, dude, he is so persistent. When he wants something, he keeps after it.
Are you guys
Yeah,
gonna put him
yeah,
in like swim training class? Like, what's the first activity
We're
you're gonna
doing
do?
we're gonna do some swim classes this summer, which are
Mhm.
real simple. It involves him like being held in water and blowing bubbles and things like that. But we're gonna
yeah.
do those. And then from there we'll just kind of trend upward into
You think you'll do
whatever.
football?
I wouldn't mind him doing football. Mom's not a huge fan of him doing
Yeah.
football.
A lot of parents are like, they're like deciding not to do that today.
I mean, the science says don't do it, but the science also says that my kid's not going to be a pro football player. So I think it'd be okay if he played for 5 or 6 years. I mean, I played for 5 years and I think I turned out just fine.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. Because now they have like these leagues where it's basically just touch football.
Man, it's
yeah,
not the same. It's not the
that's
same.
not that's not the same.
Yeah. If I had a
I
kid,
want it.
I would
If he's going to play football, he's going to play real football.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that's my theory. Like, honestly, like we joke around and I say, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna put a baseball in his hands and send him to all the camps, do all the travel teams. Yeah, at the end of the day, that's way too expensive and time consuming. So at best, my kid might play D3 baseball somewhere in the grand scheme of things. So if he's ever going to get anywhere in football, it's never going to be out of a level where I'm going to have to be worried about brain trauma. So,
Do they got lax out by you?
yeah, it's not nearly as big as it is near you. Um, but they know of it. Like it's not as big though. They do a lot of box lags out here.
Oh, okay, that's cool. I was gonna say it's like probably that's. I mean, if I could do it, well, I don't know. I would say if I could do it all over again, I always think start lacrosse really young because it's probably easier. Maybe not easier, but I feel like going to a D1 baseball school to be a D1 baseball athlete or football or whatever. There's a lot of competition, right? Where lacrosse, it's like I don't know. I always have the perception that maybe it's a little easier to get a college scholarship as a
I can see
lacrosse
that.
player. I mean, this is just like me saying that. I don't know. But then the other thing too is I'm like, if I could do it all over again, I would just be a fucking kicker for football.
You play
Every day
so
after school, just
the
kick,
key,
dude.
dude, is you play soccer through high school. That's how it happens. You
You
play soccer
can't
through high school, and
you
then
can't get touched. If you ride
yeah,
the bench, you're making like
Dude, that's such
now
a
what
pussy. That's
400
such a pussy way to
four
go.
hundred 400K minimum
it's a man.
a
That's a man who
year.
doesn't
If you
actually
could
want to
be
play football.
anything,
You're lifting, you're
yeah,
getting
that's
paid to
true.
lift. Yeah, but like, why do I need to go out, dude? At the end of the day, like, if I'm just trying to make money and get into college for free, you get paid a good salary, you get the best health insurance. I mean, dude, fuck yeah. And oh, I'm a professional football player. Like, yeah, you're entitled to. You make a lot of money, and you get to say that you're gonna have a
Dude,
pretty cool.
that line's not going to get you very far when the girl says what position and you say, back up, place kicker. Um,
Yeah, but then when you get out of a Bugatti,
I'm just saying, if I could pick anything, it wouldn't be a, like the kicker on a football team. I don't know what sport. I haven't given this much thought, but that just seems like a weird choice.
mine's baseball, man.
that's like the golden ticket, man.
I was so mad I screwed up my shoulder in high school because I was actually a decent baseball player. Not like I'm saying I would ever even get to play in college, but I had to stop playing baseball in seventh grade. I would have played all through high school. I loved baseball, man.
Remember
Did
when
they
we
have?
played the flag football for one game?
Yeah.
Rachel and my Islas Biatches, man.
Oh my god, I forgot the name of the team. Yeah,
What was it? What was the team's name?
Rachel
Rachel and my
Mises
Islas
bitches.
Biatches.
I can't believe we agreed to
I think
We
Marissa made
didn't.
that.
We didn't. Marissa
Oh.
said it to Rich, and Rich was like, "I'll do anything you want."
that.
That's bullshit. Hey, my dog, she's barking though. I gotta come off you to say that's bullshit.
Oh man!
No,
And then
I'm
we
trying to think.
played.
Seth, did you have curling up at in Vermont?
I believe there were curling centers, probably. Dude, Caitlin likes to call Vermont Canada Light, and she's not wrong. So, yeah, there probably was curling centers.
I feel
Curling
like
would be
that's what I would
sweet.
do. I feel like
There you
that's what I
go.
would do.
Then you could be an Olympian.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Olympians don't make a lot of money, but like,
I'm not worried about that.
But you get to work at the Home Depot, so they always have those commercials where it's like Home Depot supports the Olympics, and they all work there. I mean, I honestly though, if I'm not even kidding, if I could do it all over again, I probably would do something like that, like a kicker.
Just like the easy way out.
I don't know if. Well, yeah,
sounds
that's
like
the
such a New
point. That's
York
the
man.
whole. That's the whole point of
Sounds
it,
like
dude.
such a New York man.
Like, would you want to? I mean, maybe I'm sure you'd say yes, but like playing. I mean, like ideally, if I could do any sport professionally, I'd probably be like a professional hockey player, right? But like at the end of the day, I don't know if that's like the lifestyle I'd want to live, where like day in and day out I had to eat extreme. Like look at Tom Brady's life, or just look at a lot of elite athletes. You got to have a super healthy diet, go through all these things day in and day out. Like your entire life has to be poured into that thing, right? I'm not saying you can go out and be a kicker at 300 pounds because you're just eating whatever you want and not lifting or anything like that. Like you have to be physically fit. But yeah, man, if someone was like, hey, you can go to college for free and you could make like a bunch of money a year and you only have to do it for like 5 or 6 years, you get to, ride the bus with your boys and all that. And all you got to do is just kick every day after school for, you know, a little bit. Sure. Sign me up. Sign me up. Not that it's like that easy. Like anybody can be a kicker, but
What about crew? I feel like crew would be a good choice.
it's too tiring, bro. Too
Oh my
tiring.
god. Oh my god. He went from saying
That's
he
fucking
wanted
exhausting.
he went from saying he wanted to be a pro hockey player, which those dudes are just fucking crazy. Those are the guys that when the Stanley Cup is done, you find out like this guy played with 16 severed vertebrae, and you're
Right.
Yeah,
like,
that shit's
what?
crazy. Well, that's if I wanted to fully commit to a sport. But if I was just looking to like get into that world and get the free scholarships and all that money and all that, yeah, kicker. If I had a kid and I'm like, yeah, you should be a kicker. Yeah, just trust me on this one, kid. Just you'll thank me. you're not going to have to get something like shoved into your spine. Like what's who's the quarterback from the '85 Bears? What was his McMahon or
Jim McMahon, yeah.
yeah, dude, he's got to get like a thing like a needle like that goes into his neck and it like helps all the fluid drain from his brain.
Yeah, that's why he wears the sunglasses all the time.
Is it really? Okay, I didn't know that.
That's all connected. So the same reason that he gets the needle to drain the stuff has damaged his eyes enough that he has to wear the sunglasses all the time.
Got it. Well, like, so actually, that's a good segue. So before you said you got a lot of letters behind your name, you got what? PH? Do you have three?
So I have 2 master's degrees and a PhD.
So I guess isn't it like a little ironic that like if you have all those letters, right?
Mhm.
But like the less letters you have, probably the more important. So like an MD is a real doctor. You've got
I was like, where's he
got
going with this? I know he's making a
seven
joke.
letters. You've got 7 letters, and you're not a real doctor.
Yeah,
You
but
know, so
I'm also not a douchebag, so I mean, there's that.
Do you introduce yourself as Dr. Seth Filio when you like?
No, I only use doctor for my students and in a professional environment. I absolutely hate being called Dr. Filio. Hate it.
What
Hate
about
it.
that guy that bumped into you in the grocery store the other day? If anyone ever gives you lip, are you like, it's doctor? Do you ever do that?
Yeah, actually, when there's an incident on airplanes and they ask if there's a doctor on the plane, I raise my hand. No, no.
Oh, dude, yeah, I'd be like,
Dude, we did that. I think we were on the way.
guy.
I think we were on the way. If I remember right, we were on the way to Tyler's wedding, and that happened, and Caitlin had to do something.
oh, really? Well, but she's a nurse, right? So,
Yeah, but no, we got like a $400 voucher for Delta, which then COVID happened and we could never use it. But still got it. It was pretty cool.
That is cool.
did the guy live?
Yeah, it was like someone who fainted, and then like she just had to do. First of all, she was like, someone should probably write Delta and tell them that they need to get a blood pressure cuff and maybe have a stethoscope.
Wow.
So yeah, it was a mess.
Mm. If he died, would it have only been like a $200 voucher?
Probably. I mean, like maybe 150.
Figured they give him more to stay quiet.
You got to take care of the baby.
The cat is stuck to a screen right now. Hang on. Be right back.
The life of a dad.
So, all right, Sethicus. This is the question that we have to ask all our guests, and we've asked ourselves this question. We've reached deep down. Do you believe in aliens?
Yes.
You do? Okay.
Yes. 100%.
Do you
What do you think they
believe
look
in
like?
ghosts?
Oh, yes.
I do not think that they are the little, rounded top of the head down to a chin. I think there is absolutely something out there that is not from this earth. You can't sell me that there is the vastness of outer space and that there is not another planet somewhere that has an atmosphere, that has the ability to sustain life like planet Earth. Do I think it's Mars? No. Do I think it's very close to planet Earth? No. But I think that there has to be something somewhere that's close enough to a heat source, or who knows, maybe they've created, because the big to do about it is it couldn't be on any other planet because there's not a big enough heat source like the planet, like the sun, and blah blah blah. But what if they've created a heat source that's able to do what the sun does, right? What if their blood doesn't regulate their body temperature? What if they have another means of regulating body temperature? What if their body temperature doesn't need to be regulated? So absolutely, 100% I believe there are aliens. And to answer your ghost question, yes, I 100% believe there are ghosts. My old apartment was haunted.
Ooh,
Okay, so
is there a story there?
Yeah, we gotta go into that.
Yeah. So Tyler, I don't think you ever came to this apartment in
Which one?
it was the one you and Justin came to.
Okay.
So the ghost there was
Where the
relatively
guy above you, his gun went off, and it went
yes, the guy above me shot
What?
his gun. The guy above me one night got loaded with his best friend, and he was showing his friend the gun, and they shot the gun through my ceiling, and bounced off the wall.
What
And
the
my
hell?
dad was living with me at the time, and he came out. I thought his cat had knocked something off the fridge. That's how deep of a sleep I was in. And he came out and he's like, Seth, you got to come take a look at this. And I come out and he's got a bullet in his hand. And I look and you can see the bullet hole. And I was like, well, guess we got to call the cops. So the kicker is so we called the cops. And obviously a patrolman shows up. The guy had blacked out afterward, passed the fuck out. They couldn't entry. So SWAT team and a helicopter end up showing up all in this little apartment. It was a mess. It was a mess. It was on the news. It was a mess.
Did you get to leave? Were you like, hey, can we get the fuck out of here?
No, we had to sit in the officer's car where the whole thing happened. Yeah, it was not fun. It was
Damn.
not fun at all.
It's a long night.
So anyway, back to the ghosts. Yeah, so the ghost lived in that apartment and he was actually quite friendly. But if you made fun of it, so I would tell people when they came over that there was a ghost, and people would be like, that's fucking ridiculous. That's crazy. And those would be the night. There was one night I had my heater turned on. I woke up the next morning, it was 40 degrees in my room because he had turned the heat all the way down. There was one time I woke up with a mysterious hole in the kitchen. There was one time all of my dishes had left the dish drying rack and were on the ground when I woke up. These were
That's
times too
weird.
that my dad
Were,
had
were
not
they
been.
like broken or were they just like
No, they
laying?
were just on the ground. They were just on the ground.
Bro, I would have got the fuck out of there.
Yeah. Did
See,
you ever
that's why
see anything happen?
I
Like, or
never saw anything. The only time I actually heard something was my dad had just moved in and I told him about the ghost, and my dad obviously scoffed it off, and all of a sudden two bowls came flying off of the drying rack. They were plastic bowls, so they like rolled around on the ground. And I was like, see, you can't be like, don't fuck with him. He's fine.
yeah.
He's nice. But yeah, I absolutely believe in ghosts.
Dude, I literally would have. This is like the landlord. Did you ever like say something to the landlord?
No, no, she was too nice. I didn't want to be
Now
mean to
there's
her.
some poor soul living there with a ghost.
Probably, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, my grandpa's house was haunted too. I stayed there watching his dog once, and I had turned the heat up, and he was notorious when he was like. So my uncle lived there now. Obviously, my grandpa was dead at this point. He was notorious for it always being cold in his house. Like the heat was never above 60, and I was staying there, and I turned the heat up, and I woke up the next morning, and the heat dial had been turned back down.
Wow.
To 60.
Yep, the way he said it.
I remember Justin had crazy stories when in college, and he was like, yeah, our first house. I just remember like an old man with a beard would always be talking to me, and he's like, there was like a little girl that would run around the house, and like guests would see her. Which if either of you had that shit in your house and you ever invited me over, I would no, I'm good.
Nah, pass. Yeah.
Yeah,
So you guys don't do like the ghost tours or anything when you go to the older
I
cities?
have. Like I went
Oh, they're
to
so cool.
when I lived in Colorado, I went to the Stanley Hotel, which I will say like there's a presence there, dude. Like
Yeah, it's
you can
creepy.
feel something. And I don't know if that's sort of like gassing you up and like saying shit, but I was like, nah, I definitely feel something. But I also on a previous episode or where I like talked about some of my encounters where I saw some shit. And I don't know. Even though it's like I don't know, people could be like, they're not gonna hurt you or whatever. And if they do, it's a demon. Like right.
Yeah, well, pass. I don't want any
Yeah,
chance of
I
that,
don't
you know?
want to. Yeah, I just need to have this shit scared out of me. I'm not ready for that. How do you mentally prepare yourself for that? You're just minding your business, and all of a sudden you see a fucking ghost or
So
buildings flying.
I think that's where I like to think I'm a level-headed individual. I don't go too crazy on the realms of everything. We could do all the diving into religions and whatnot. And again, I'm a scientist, so take from that what you will of my thoughts on religion are. I don't think demons like you see on movies are a thing. I think that ghosts are a thing. So ghosts are people who have something unfinished, right? That's why they're staying where they are. That's why they're trapped where they are. So I think unless you are bringing on this negative energy to this ghost, because that's what ghosts are, they're an energy. So if you're bringing this negative energy onto them in their situation, then yes, they're going to be defensive. I don't think there is an embodiment that comes around and possesses you and gets you to kill your whole family and that type of thing, right? Spin your head around and puke green blood everywhere.
Yeah,
But I definitely think that the energy of a ghost or a presence, whatever you want to call it, can be persuaded based on the energy you provide to the situation.
fair,
Interesting.
fair. It's kind of like do you ever watch the movie Ghost with Patrick Swayze and the
No, just
ghost on
that
the
one
train
scene. Just that one scene.
with the pottery?
So do you believe in like a heaven or an afterlife or something? I don't know. I
So,
don't know what my thoughts are on this. I was trying to think of it as he was talking there.
so Rich, cover your ears as a good Catholic boy. I don't believe in the Bible. I think there was a really good salesman and a really good magician. I do think that there's an afterlife. I don't think we know about it. I don't think any one religion has it right. I don't think any one religion has it wrong, except for the kooky non-denominationals. They definitely have it wrong because they're not a religion, they're a cult. Um, I'm sorry, it's the truth. You can't sit here and tell me that you are a church of but you don't follow a certain sect of the church. You're just trying to get your tax credits and suck people into your money sucking ways.
Like
So
David Koresh and the gun
correct,
running. Yeah.
correct. Um, but I think there's something else. I don't think you just die and that's the end of your story. What that
Yeah, yeah.
is, I don't know. I have no idea. But I don't think you die and that's just it.
Yeah, I'm confident that there's something
Yeah.
beyond. And like, obviously I was like raised Catholic and all that, but I think even like I'm not like a good Catholic, obviously, right? Like I try to be,
Definitely
but
not.
not that hard, unfortunately.
I
Definitely
mean,
not.
look, just take what you know of the stories and think about if you were to relate it to the real world. If some guy this day were to
Yeah.
walk down the streets and say, "Gather, gather, gather, watch me turn this water into wine," what would you think he was?
Yeah, crazy. Unless he did it.
Not even, not even.
Then like, oh,
You'd think he's a street performer. You'd think he's a magician, right? Jesus Christ was a magician. That's all there was to it. And since it was way back when magic wasn't a thing, illusions weren't a thing, yeah, he probably was crucified. He probably was burned at the stake like the witches were, right?
well, yeah, yeah, I get that. I think the point I was going at is like it's like I definitely believe in a higher power either way. Like I think that there's definitely a higher power. Now, does that necessarily mean it's like the Father, Son, the Holy Ghost? Like, am I totally sold on that? No, not totally. I'd be lying if I said totally. I'd like to believe that there is, right? Because that's what I was raised to know as a kid. But I think a lot of that too is because that's what I was raised to think as a kid, right? If I was born a Muslim, I'd be Muslim. If I was born, Jewish or Hindu or whatever, I believe in that. But I definitely feel confident there's a higher power because I know that, and people might call it like manifestation and stuff like that. But I know it. I'm always like, God, like, get my back here, help me out here or whatever. And I feel like I've been very fortunate in life. And, some people were like, well, you got to give yourself more credit. Yeah, maybe I do. But I do feel comfortable saying that there's been some sort of power, whatever you call it
Oh,
there. And
no, absolutely. I agree. I mean, you look at I like to think of my dad's situation where he had his super tingly arm and he finally got the balls to go to a hospital and then he had his heart attack while he was having a stress test.
That's
Like
crazy.
my dad has a heart attack anywhere other than a hospital. He ain't making it because he's not calling 911. Let's be realistic.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So the fact that he had his heart attack while he was at a hospital doing a stress test, like somebody
Yeah,
was looking out somewhere. So
for sure, man, for sure. Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, it's crazy because one day you'll either find out or you just won't.
Yeah, true,
it's
true.
not like, and that's the thing where it's just like, it's not like, what are you going to do right back? I
Yeah,
mean, obviously, whatever this afterlife is, maybe there's a way to communicate, but not in a coherent way that the living can make sense of it.
yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
I mean, if you believe in ghosts, then you definitely believe there's something right
Right.
after death.
You
Absolutely.
have to, you
There's
have
Have
to,
to.
yeah,
another, whatever the
Absolutely.
option is that's not ghost is something else.
yeah.
Absolutely.
There's always like scientific ways of explaining a lot of stuff too. Like people swear they saw a ghost, and then Taps comes in. They're like, well, actually, it's like a electromagnetic force going down the rails of this, train track. Like there's like so the one in New Jersey actually. Everyone said it was like a guy carrying a lantern because he lost his arm, like the train switch operator. It's like a probably like a ghost story across the country. And they're like, well, actually, it's because of the static electricity or whatever. So there's a lot of ways that could explain some of these things away, but I don't know. I'm confident. I don't know, Tyler. What do you? I know you believe in ghosts, but do you believe beyond that? I mean,
Like religion.
well, not religion, but I mean, do you believe in a higher power?
Uh, I don't know.
Yeah,
I think I'd like to think there is one.
yeah. There's a
I just
comfort in knowing, I guess.
I just don't know that there is one. Right.
Yeah,
I mean, I think it's like the evidence-based thing where like seeing is believing, but also not seeing isn't necessarily not believing. You know, you just as much have to prove the negative you either have to prove the positive or prove the negative. You can't just say because someone hasn't proven the positive, it's not. So I
Mm.
think that's the best way to think of it.
yeah. What about the simulation theory?
That we live in a simulation.
Yeah. Do you think there's any validity to that?
Nah, I think that one's a little bit of a I mean, I think there's a lot of things out there that we don't know. I think there's a lot of things out there that I don't think we want to know. My personal favorite right now is the birds theory. I think that's a hilarious theory.
I don't know that
So,
one.
Where there's no such thing as birds. Birds have actually been extinct for years, and they're actually all government created. Um, and so that's why they sit on telephone poles to recharge themselves. And so they're just spying on everybody. Yeah, that's a
interesting.
theory. That's
I've
a
definitely seen
dude.
dead birds.
Let me tell you, 2 a.m., you're sitting there trying to rock that baby back to sleep. You go real into the depths of the Twitter hole, and the Twitter sphere is a scary place at 2 a.m.
You got the flat earthers out there. You got
you,
the
you get a lot of crazies out there at 2 a.m.
I'm
But
sure,
no,
dude.
the simulation one's a little weird. I think there are some have you guys ever been to Sedona, Arizona?
nope.
No.
So Sedona is said to be the electromagnetic center of the country, essentially. So this is why you see all the hippy dippies going to Sedona to get centered and to have their holistic living, because there's a lot of, it's supposedly the center of balance or whatever. Really what it turns out to be is it's just like there's a ton of electromagnetic stuff going on there, apparently, like in the ground. And so that's why people feel centered, because at the end of the day, we all are a giant magnet. Um,
And so their body just feels different there
right.
because yeah.
Right. So I think that a lot of these things that people are like, oh my God, it's a simulation. Here's proof we're in the simulation. I think they might just be things that are electromagnetic changes, or something going on in the weather, the atmosphere. We still don't know everything that we need to know about the atmosphere, right? The Earth is a massive, massive place. I mean, you think about it, we don't even know about the bottom of the ocean. So
Yeah. So can you go over the simulation theory for me? I guess I'm not sure.
I mean,
Like,
it's basically, Rich, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's basically people believe we're in the Matrix, that
Yeah.
like we're not real. We're
we're plugged in somewhere
Coherently.
else.
right, right,
Yeah.
right. Like we're not actually real. We don't make our own decisions. We don't do our own things. We're just a pre-programmed thing.
Dude, I thought about this a lot, a lot. I'm not saying I believe in it, but I proved it the other day. No, I did think about it, and I was like, wait a second. So I think so. The simulation theory obviously is, yeah, we're living in basically the Matrix. Um, I do think there's like a free will there, but there's questions of like, well, why would there be a simulation, right? So number one is it could be like, is somebody basically playing you the way that you would play a video game character? And obviously, if they were able to create some sort of simulation that's this real and feels this organic, that they could do it at a level where they could play a character at this level with cognizance or whatever. It could also be plugged in, and maybe
So
there's a reason for it.
what makes it different than like the metaverse?
No, so the metaverse would basically, if we get to the point of the metaverse being like a matrix, right? We get past the Oculus and it's plugged in.
Yeah.
There's neuro whatever enhancement and all that, or whatever you want to call it. It would basically be like Inception. It'd be like the dream within a dream. It'd be like the matrix within a matrix. Now, I think, but here's the thing, right? So the other day I'm thinking about this. Here's one thing, not to kind of get us off topic. It is related though. The one thing that sort of freaks me out, or I just can't wrap my head around, is like the Big Bang Theory to me just is fucking stupid. Like I'll be honest with you, like there was nothing, and all of a sudden there's a fucking universe, because that to me it makes no sense. I think I'm not saying that the whole act, because people are like, well, what, Adam and Eve makes more sense. I'm not saying that makes more sense, but I think like the Big Bang Theory to me just doesn't make any sense. And I think no beginning and no end, I can't wrap my head around it, because there's nothing else that you could point to. There's no beginning or no end. The universe, there's no end to it. It's just going to keep going and going. It's expanding. So then there has to be something beyond the edge, right? Like there's things I can't wrap my head around. And so it's almost like, okay, that right there is almost like, okay, it's almost like when you make those little, what do they call them? Those like Terra, uh when you like grow those like little environments inside like a little
Chia
glass thing.
pet? No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's called a Terra something. Yeah, you're right. I
Yeah,
can't remember what it's
Terra
called.
something, right?
Tamaguchi? I'm not
Oh,
sure.
dude, I remember that
Tamagotchi,
shit.
that's what it is.
Tamagotchi and Terraguchi. That's, remember when you were like, you thought Pangea was Pan-Asia? You're like, oh, is that yet Pan-Asia?
I said that or Seth?
Yeah, we were talking about Pangea, and you're like, no one was. Seth said something, and like we didn't say Pangea. You're like, oh yeah, what was that called? That one continent?
Pan-Asia?
Terrarium, by the way.
Terrarium, yes.
Okay.
Terrarium. So potato. But anyway, I think so that's kind of something too. It's like we're kind of contained or whatever. Now, the one thing that I was thinking about the simulation theory is hang on one second. Let me just
Take it.
I literally wrote this down, dude. Like literally 2 pages worth of stuff. So I think the one thing that like was kind of it was kind of like you ever watch I know you have, dude, Transformers, when he's like in the college classroom and he's like
Yeah, he's like seeing symbols. He's like,
yeah, yeah.
Tyler's favorite movie.
It was like it was
Tyler's
like that.
favorite movie.
That's a good
It
one.
was like that, dude. So basically, it was like everything.
Wait, have you yet to find a movie that you don't like, Tyler? Or are we still working on
We
that?
talked about this.
Yeah, no, I'd say it's difficult.
Sorry, ADHD. Back to
He just
Rich.
likes it for entertainment for what it is, which I can respect.
Yeah, as long as I'm entertained and watch the whole movie, then it's done its job, right?
Fair. That's fair. I think that's fair.
That is fair. That's fair. So everything exists within a hierarchy, and all those hierarchies in some form or fashion are going to be connected. It's almost like when you go on Wikipedia and you play that game, How Many Clicks to Get to Hitler?
Never
right?
played.
Never played that.
It's like it's basically you start off on Wikipedia and you see like if you can get to an article related to Hitler within like 10 clicks or something like that.
So it's like 7 Degrees from Kevin Bacon, but dark. Got it.
It's like the Wikipedia game. I think I played that before, but just not. We didn't end with Hitler, or just like start with blue and end up with like vitamin or something like that, and you have to.
Okay.
So you can
yeah, it's basically something like that. Man, I don't know if the Hitler is like a thing because it's like so few clicks to get to it. I don't know how that kind of rose to the top. Hopefully not because of a. Never mind.
Yeah. Hopefully we knocked his ass back down.
But I think so. It's like that. Every hierarchy, everything is just in the hierarchy, and at some point, the hierarchies are connected. And anything, name 2 things, and you'll be like, you'll eventually arrive at a hierarchy. And I know I wrote some of this stuff down, but because not to go like too, deep into it, but ultimately because I realized everything was a hierarchy and like all connected, I'm like, okay, this is all just like one big orb with all these like smaller orbs. It's like a Russian nesting doll.
What is the universe?
Just like the simulation, everything's connected in some form or fashion. Literally everything.
So wait, can I ask you a question then? Do you believe in fate? Then is that your higher power is fate?
I mean, I would like to say no.
Do you think that everyone has a predestined path? Like you're going to live X number of years, you're going to die by this form? Like
it's like the movie Big Fish. Yeah, I think so I'd like to say no, but like literally 5 days ago, I had this like feeling of calm wash over me, maybe in last weekend. And I was like, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be right now. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Like, sure, there's things in life like I wish I did, or I wish I saw, or maybe I envision life being different, but I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Right? Like living where I'm living right now. Did I ever think I'd be living here? No. But there's a reason I'm here, and there's benefits to being here. And I've got her, and I've got the dogs, and I've got a good job. I got you guys. Like, dude, life is good, and I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. There's no need for me to want more. Not more material.
I mean,
things.
it's weird. So you can get lost. So I think about this a lot too, and it might just be because I have ADHD or whatever. But like I sit here and I always like think back and I trail back to like, okay, I met you guys because we lived in the LLC, right? I was not a pre-med though. So how did I end up in the LLC? I accidentally clicked the LLC box. So if I don't click that, yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
I didn't know that.
I accidentally clicked it. If I don't click it, I don't end up there. I don't know you guys who are my best friends, right? So like that changes the trajectory. If I don't know you guys, I might end up marrying that crazy bitch I was dating in high school. That ends up we're never where we are here, right? So
our lives would have been easier though, because somehow she drove us crazy too.
But then you have to ask the question. So Rich, this is where this might actually fall into your way. So let's say I don't click that box. Is there still some time when I run into you guys? Like, is there still some time I meet you guys? Who knows?
Yeah. Oh, dude, that was another thing.
That would be fate.
So,
right?
So here's where it gets into the rabbit hole, and this is where Rich's theory might have some hold. So Caitlin lived in Syracuse 4 or 5 years before I moved out there, right? Mm-hmm. And we found 3 or 4 different times we were in the same area when I was visiting Syracuse and didn't see each other. gets crazier. We found one time, Rich, remember the lacrosse weekend I was supposed to go to with you, the quarterfinals weekend that was at Hofstra, and I
Mm-hmm.
ended up having to miss it. I don't remember why I had to miss it.
Mm-hmm.
Caitlin was there that weekend.
At Hofstra?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So the universe didn't want you guys to be together.
It was trying to tear you apart. Can't allow it.
Or it's just they didn't want us to be together at
At
that
that time.
time
At that time.
because I
Well,
was
dude,
crazy at that time. Let's be realistic. She probably would have never been with me if I had stayed that way.
Or it's a coincidence.
Or it's a coincidence.
that's the next question too. I mean, the smallest things can totally have changed the trajectory of your life. And I thought about that too when I was thinking about hierarchies and simulation, right? And then it was like, well, there's like the multiverse now because it's almost like, there's a universe where I decide to have this podcast with you guys tonight. There's also the other option, which is to not have it, right? And like all of a sudden, there's all these branches that just keep going on and on and on to
Yeah.
where like every decision, there's a yes or there or no.
This is a scientific theory. It's called chaos theory. That's what you're describing.
Yeah, the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once. Everything Everywhere All at Once. The one it got.
I still need to watch that one.
It was so good, but it's basically what you're describing there. Every little decision that changes your life, there's all these different
everything.
Yeah, it's
universes or it's like the multiverse, right?
Yeah, it's chaos theory. So it's the butterfly effect, right? So if you if you it's I can't remember the actual phrasing of it. I've got to look it up. Watch Jurassic Park. Jeff Goldblum's character describes it pretty well as far as when he talks about water. Water droplets on your you drop a droplet on your knuckle and it can go one way or go another way, and that can reflect two different paths. And the idea is if a butterfly is flapping its wings, it's causing the wind to do one thing, which could cause the earth to do a certain thing. But if you were to step on the butterfly never flaps its wings. Does the earth still do what it's going to do? It's chaos theory.
So I guess, do you think in this universe that it's predetermined all of those decisions, or do you think each time you make a different decision, it makes another universe? Or do you think this one's not predetermined? It's just you've taken a different path. There's like a set amount of universes. There's a whole bunch of different things.
Can I wrap this one back then? So we talked about believing in aliens, and I'm just going to go out on a limb and guess you guys both believe in aliens, or one of you does. Okay, Rich, you believe in aliens?
I either believe that they are there, or that we are just the only thing. And I think if we are the only thing, it's the simulation.
So what if the aliens aren't necessarily from another planet, but are from just another universe, another multiverse? So there's been a branch off somewhere, and now you've got alien. Because again, we go back to this depiction that these aliens are these 7 feet tall green things with the funny shaped heads and the funny shaped eyes. Maybe they're just humans that aren't from Earth, or something that's not from Earth. So maybe it is just the other universe person coming to talk to you. In which case, if it's a whole different universe, the language might be different, the concepts might be different, which is why they can't communicate to us.
So if they are from another universe, right? If it is a different species from a different universe, do you think they're friendly when they get here? And how do we handle it?
I think it depends on who they are. So if it's a different universe, that means there's a different Seth, a different Rich, and a different Tyler.
No, right? I don't mean like a different multiverse. I mean like they're like creatures.
Oh, you mean they're somewhere. Creatures?
Yeah.
It's tough to say. Why are they coming here? Are they coming here with a pacifistic approach to learn about us, or are they coming here to take us over and be hostile?
That's kind of what I told him. Like, I guess I think about it, I definitely believe in aliens because you hear about, like, I think in the Hindu religion, there's like this tale about this like floating, like almost like fortress or like temple in the sky. There's obviously the Egyptian stuff. There's like different cultures around the world that have some sort of encounter. South America, right, where you're like, okay, it's that would be odd. Same thing with, like, I'm not gonna say I believe in dragons, but it's also weird that like certain cultures believe in something that never made contact with each other, as far as we know. But I think we talked about this, Tal, you and I had said, if so humans are greedy and they're violent and all that. I think it's because like all organisms on Earth, right? There's finite resources. So we have to compete for resources, whether that's like a mate or food or water or whatever, right? If there's let's just say there's another environment where these aliens grow or whatever, they're living. And for whatever reason, like there's always a harvest season, growing season. They don't have to worry about finite resources. It's there. and they probably never have to develop any sort of aggression, right? Mates are plentiful. You don't have to worry about like competing for that or food or whatever. So like they're not aggressive. So they might come here and have no ill intentions and ill intent, and then all of a sudden we're just like we're fucking crazy. So we freak out. We go to kill them, and they might not even be able to fight back. They might have all this technology, but they just don't have that mean bone in their body,
That'd be
right? So
weird.
or it's like a dog, dude. Like Tilly doesn't have a mean bone in her body.
Yeah, but they
but she's evolutionary bound to like a dog in general, like evolution has caused them to have the know with the, like it's fight or flight, which is a physiological thing. Like your body physiologically goes into this state when you're in certain situations, right?
Yeah,
Where
but it's like environment though, no? Like if I
I
didn't
mean, no,
figure
and that can
why,
so that's the idea of something like pacifism, where like your first instinct isn't to fight, but at the end of the day, if my family is threatened, I will fight. Like I'm not a fighter. I'm a very calm human being. But if my family is threatened to that point where I've kicked into fight or flight mode, then I'm gonna fight because it's an evolutionary, it's how we got here, right? It's
well, that's what I'm
how
saying though.
we've
That's what I'm saying.
survived over years. So if they've so and that makes sense because if they've never had to do that evolution, if
Yeah,
there's never been this idea that, the strong survive and the weak piddly die, then
yeah.
yeah, they don't have that.
kind of think
So
there's like
yeah.
two options, right? I kind of think it's one, there's like a whole bunch of civilizations out there, kind of like Star Wars, right? That there's a bunch that can travel in between planets and stuff, and we're just some planet off way out in the middle of nowhere that the people that the encounters that we've had on Earth are either two things. They're either just like people flying by and like, oh no, they're not, they don't have the capabilities like we do yet, or they're scouts from all different other places coming to figure out if we're worth investigating or not.
Could be.
Dude, we're probably like, how people go to those zoos that's all reptiles or whatever. There's
They
like an
fly by and they're
alligator.
like, oh, look at those things. They're so
Well,
dumb.
it's like an alligator pit, right? Like you're always gonna want to see a guy throw a chicken to a bunch of alligators, and you're like, wow, that's cool. Look at them all snapping. They're probably
Mhm.
flying around like, wow, look at that thing. It'll fucking kill me. I'm not gonna get too close, but I'll watch it.
Right. Well, maybe we'll watch it throw some bombs today or something, you know.
Yeah, yeah, like yeah, exactly, man. Like even we're kind of fucking afraid of each other, right? Like if you look what's going on in the world right now, it's nuts. So imagine them. Everything is alien to them. We're the aliens. So
What if they're dictating the way things go for us? So what if
that's
these
a
events
possibility.
that have happened that are inexplicable events that turn the tide of countries, of politics, of everything, what if all
Yeah.
these events were created by them to see how we respond? It's throwing the proverbial chicken into the alligator pit, right?
Well, if you get biblical with it, like you could say, like, if you talk about like the Israelites, right? Like they obviously and they were like the tribe that was like God's chosen. You could like people could say, well, that was like the tribe that some alien chose, and because there's those stories about like how they followed the cloud, right? For days and all that. Like there's ways you can connect aliens to religions too, or like these ancient tales where it actually would make sense. And there's
So I think we
like gifts
solved it. I think they
bestowed on
exist.
them. And
I think
they
they
probably,
exist.
yeah, they
We
probably,
solved
yeah, I
it.
guess they definitely do. They
So
definitely do.
so Rogan's talked about that documentary a lot recently, the Moment of Contact, I think it's called, on like Amazon. And I really want to watch it. It's about that uh encounter they had in Varginha, Brazil, and I think it was 96, sometime in the 80s or 90s. And so he, in his documentary, he went back and interviewed people now or recently about their experience then, and then corroborated all their stories. And basically, I forget, some guy had seen the alien, and then a week later, two girls saw it and was injured. And like this is all from different people's interviews and what happened. And he was putting it all together. I guess the U.S. Air Force flew in, and then they sent people in, grabbed the body, and then flew out. Like this is all in the documentary, like from the interviews. It's pretty interesting.
I mean, I hope we did it. I hope of any country that did do it, I hope it was
Well, we
us.
came in and grabbed it to come do whatever
Yeah, man.
experiments we want.
I don't want anyone else knowing the technology and shit like that. That's yeah.
So it's interesting. I want to see it. But they talked about like the creatures, and they like stunk really bad, and like they said like you could smell the smell stuck around for like weeks after.
Really.
Yeah, so they weren't sure what it was like. whether it was their ship or the things themselves. But I don't know. I want to watch it. I keep forgetting about it.
That would be the worst job. Not only do you have to like touch this nasty alien, you don't know like you know what I mean, and like dissect it, but it's gonna just smells like shit.
Yeah.
You
It's a
imagine
terrible job.
having to go home to your wife, honey, why do you smell like shit? I can't tell you. It's classified. I
Dude, it's
can't
like
tell you.
what's that movie? District District
District
Nine.
9,
Yeah.
the
When you
British
get like
guy.
yeah, the South African guy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he must say like fuck off like literally 1,000 times in
Easily.
that. Yeah, dude, that's a great movie. But yeah, well, like a little bit goes up his nose, and like now he turns into an alien.
They're like cockroaches or something almost, right?
Prawns, they call him.
Oh, right, right.
Fucking prawn man.
That's right. Prawns.
That's a great. That was a great. That was supposed to be the Halo movie. They were supposed to make a Halo movie, and then I guess it got scrapped, and it turned into that, which they did a really good job. I saw it in theaters. I really enjoyed that movie.
Yeah, I
You
remember
made
that
me
too.
you made me watch it, and it was good.
Yeah, it's entertaining. It's not like any like thing crazy, but it was entertaining for sure, and it holds up. It holds up. So okay, so you believe in aliens.
Mhm.
You're not sure if they're aggressive.
I mean, I think so. There's always all these things you believe or you don't believe. Like I'm a very open-minded person. I'm very inquisitive. I still am fact-based, so like you need to present facts to me for me to agree with you on something. But if there aren't facts against it, then I'm willing to listen, right? And so sometimes on things that we can discuss on other podcasts or off air and we can cut it, like it comes off as I don't call it arrogance or say, but like pigheadedness. But I'm a firm believer that, if there's literature that says it, look, I can tell you right now, scientists don't make enough money to lie about things. It's just not how that profession goes, man. It just isn't. So if there is evidence-based research on things, then that's how it is. And I'm okay with you being inquisitive and asking about it and asking the questions about things. But as soon as you're proven, as soon as your questions are answered, then your questions are answered. Don't tell that person that they lied unless you can prove that they lied. And this goes far past
Like
today's world.
if there were like emails with
Today,
someone
right,
saying flat out
right.
that something wasn't. Yeah.
I always go back
Did we
to
somehow end up on the vaccine?
I wasn't gonna say it. No, I
or
wasn't gonna
masks,
say
or
it. I
masks, or
wasn't
yeah.
gonna say it. I wasn't gonna say it. But there are certain and then certain people the motives it's a dirty career science can be. It's been tarnished in certain ways that now people don't believe things. And
What?
again, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, no. Keep going. Keep going.
So it's one of those things where I one of the reasons I became a scientist is I was that weird kid in elementary school who loved doing note cards and then loved doing your little source cards, your works cited cards that you had to do, because I was always a fan of going and finding those sources and then writing the number in the bottom and then matching them all up. And I look at today's world where people are like, "Well, Facebook told me," and I'm like, "Dude,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Did you learn nothing in school? Like, you can't source Facebook. That's not a thing. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
use your actual." And again, people who go, well, I think that we need to ask the questions. Cool. Ask them. Absolutely.
Mm,
Absolutely ask questions. As soon as your questions are answered, though, you need to accept the answers. Like that's just how it goes. Polio vaccine's been around for how many years at this point? People still question it. There's
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
books and books and books and books to prove that it's perfectly fine, and there are no side effects, and they are the side effects are listed as such based on such. So you know there's no reason for people to be like, well, I still don't know, I still don't trust it, I still think that the government's just in to get money. Dude, the guy who created the polio vaccine purposely didn't patent it because he didn't want to make money off of it. He wanted it to be readily available. So no, there is no one in it making money. So
So there wasn't a stock that went from like $80 a share to 400 back
correct.
then. Wow.
Correct. That was Jonas Salk. Jonas Salk created that, and he did not patent it.
Tyler, I know you want to laugh right now. Did I see you holding it
He is.
in?
He is.
I want to talk about the COVID vaccine so bad.
We could do it, man. We
No, no,
could
no,
we
no,
could
no.
stop recording
That's a
if you
whole
want
that's
to,
a
and we
whole
can
other
talk and
episode.
do
We
it.
should though. I mean, at some point,
I'm
maybe.
game
But
to. I'm game to, and it's one that I am still open on it, and I think that there are a lot. I'll say this about it. We won't dive too much into it. I'll say that there were a lot of quick trigger moves that were made that needed to be made because we were in a time of crisis. Were they necessarily the right moves? No. Further research found out that probably
Yeah.
didn't need 72 sticks, right?
In
That
hindsight, it's 2022.
exactly. That
Yeah.
being said, people sitting out here saying that they got one stick and now have 17 eyes or are blind or are, you know, invalids, that yeah, you're just causing it. There are people out there just causing a stir. That's what they do in life. They just cause a stir. It's the same idiots out there that think that the NFL is covering up that football player's death because he got a COVID vaccine. I mean, come on.
Yeah, didn't that guy take like a helmet to the chest, like right?
Yeah, he had I'm not even gonna try and say what the actual thing is because I would butcher the name, but it's a real thing. My dad actually witnessed it in high school.
It's
They
Damar
were
Hamlin, talking
yeah,
about the Bills guy.
yep. There was a kid in his high school. They were having batting practice in the gym. Actually, a good friend of mine's dad is the guy who was the pitcher. He threw a pitch, hit the kid in between ribs, in between heartbeats, and the kid died.
Mm.
It's a well documented sports injury. Like it's not even one of those things that's a
Yeah,
well, I think the government's made no, it's a well documented sports injury that he got.
I get you. Well, let's shift back to aliens, but let's do that after. Let's hop back on.
I didn't realize you guys were in Eastern time zone. That
Where are you right now?
New Jersey.
I'm on Eastern. Rich isn't. Wait, New Jersey is Eastern time zone.
No, I didn't realize you were.
Oh yeah, no, I am. Rich is not.
For some reason, I thought you were
I'm
Central.
like I'm
in
like the
Ohio.
last. I'm the last county that is in
I was
Central.
gonna say you're real close because the line's like halfway through Indiana, right? It's
It
like not.
starts
I don't even know if it's
Eastern.
maybe it is halfway. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it starts like it starts definitely closer to the Ohio side of Indiana, I think.
But then it
Like
like cuts.
like a half hour for me. Like literally a half hour for me. It gets to Eastern. But obviously
Yeah,
we got to edit this out so no one like tries to triangulate where.
It cuts Tennessee in half or something though. Like
It
it cuts
might
Florida.
probably.
It cuts Florida. Did you know part of Florida is in the Central time zone?
no, so it must
No,
bend
I didn't know
back
that.
after or
Yeah, it
something.
cuts. It juts. Yeah,
Really
the part of the
interesting.
Panhandle's in the Central time zone.
Interesting.
Yes, the things I
Interesting.
learned.
Yeah, I like because we one time we bought like patio furniture, like nice patio furniture that's like kind of not like wicker, but anyway, that you would have like at a nice beach house. This really rich guy with a huge house on the lake was selling it for like 150. So we're like, oh shit, let's go buy this. And that was like, they were like, oh, come at 4 o'clock. And we're like, they literally lived, and it was maybe a 20-30 minute drive, maybe 30 tops. And they're right on the border. And we're like waiting. And we're like, because our cell phone's going back and forth. Like, well, fuck. Like, did they mean like 4 o'clock Eastern or 4 o'clock Central? So we're just like waiting there for a while by the lake. But it's literally right over there. So I'm the last county.
Yeah, pull the map up. Yeah, like it also cuts Kentucky, Tennessee in half, and then goes down on the west side of Georgia, and then cuts part of Florida's panhandle up.
I did not know that.
Me either.
That's cool. We learned something new.
Okay.
All right. So aliens. We've
Yeah,
talked
back in aliens.
about
Cut that. Back to aliens.
we've talked about how we talked about aliens, we talked about simulation theory, we talked about ghosts. Okay. So ghosts, obviously, we all Tyler, you believe in ghosts. So we all believe in ghosts. Right? You believe in ghosts, Tyler?
No, yeah.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
answered your question already, so I wasn't gonna respond.
Yeah, I just couldn't recall correctly. So or definitively. So yes on that. Simulation theory. I'm not sold on it, but do you guys think there's some sort of validity there?
I don't think so.
I
Okay,
think
I think so.
I don't think on the realistic level. I think you could theorize it like people theorize time travel. That's where I'm at with it.
Okay. That's actually that's fair. Um, that makes sense. And then as far as fate, actually, I had a question. So as far as fate, you said yes or no, Seth?
I don't think so because I think without fate, you don't actually have free will.
Okay, so you believe in free will then, Tyler?
Is the question free will or fate?
Yeah.
I don't believe in fate. I just
Okay.
feel like we make too many decisions ourselves every day that kind of decide our path, and you could do one and choose the other, but like that would mean that we have no control over the end, and I don't think that's accurate.
It's
Okay.
it's kind of a weird way to think of things.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like I'd like to think we have free will at the other point in time, like I said before. Like I'm
So wait, Rich, can I ask you this then? So the
yeah,
old adage obviously is everything happens for a reason, right?
yeah,
Is that
yeah,
the
yeah.
same as saying fate though? Or is it, can everything happen for a reason and that not be fate?
That's a really good question, man. So I feel like if we go back like 5 years ago, when like a lot of shit was hitting the fan at the same time, and somebody had said, "Well, everything happens for a reason." And my viewpoint there was like, "Nah, that's bullshit. That's just a way of people explaining things away, right, to make themselves feel better about a shitty situation." But then, like as I've kind of gone along, like I've started to think like I don't know if everything happens for a reason is equivalent to fate, but I do think everything happens. I do think maybe everything happens for a reason. Like I told her, like, do we ever think that we would be living here? Did I ever think I'd be living here? Did she ever think she'd be moving back, after we lived in the places that we did? Um, like, no. But you know what? Like, because of all this, right? Like for example, met her, got a job, got into this industry that I never thought I would get into. Career started to take off. We got a house. My mortgage all in next to nothing, right? And so there's a benefit to that too, which is like I'm doing the best I've done in my career, but I'm paying the last time I paid this amount of money to live, Seth, that was the apartment I had in Jersey City where there was a bail bonds office attached to my apartment, right?
It was a great place
So
to live. It was a
it was
great
a great it
place.
was a great place to live. Actually, I mean, nothing ever happened bad, but like, it was a sketchy place, and I feel like it's like okay, so now is the benefit that I get to like save money and invest, and like, am I going to need that 3 years down the road? I'm like, I'm really glad that I stashed away like a bunch of money and invested a bunch of money, right? So like, and we're closer to family, and like people are getting older, and you never know what the fuck's going to happen,
But
right? So
you think that was all fate and not just
I
because
don't
of
know.
decisions you made along the way? Because every decision
Uh,
was how you ended up there.
so yeah, but the thing with fate is like you might think it's free will, but it's not. I don't know. All I know is I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Like I feel confident in saying that, and I'd also say this, and this is the question I was going to ask. Like I saw like on Twitter, right? It was like if you take the red pill, you get to go back to when you're like 6 years old, knowing what you know now. If you take the blue pill, you get $10 million. What would you do? If I were to go back in time, I would be doing everything in my power to get back to the same place I'm in now. I'm not saying that life is like spectacular. I mean, frankly, if depending on how you look at it, glass half full, half empty. I mean, I'm fortunate. I'm lucky. Like there's a lot of great things about my life. So, and I'm where I'm supposed to be, and I've got what I need. I would want to make sure I get back to her. I'd want to make sure I get my dogs. Be like, okay, I need to be at this place at this date to make sure I get Tilly. Me to get Ruby this date, and so I think I would do everything in my power that I could to get back to where I am right now.
But do you say that because you think that it was your destiny to be in the career you're in, be with the girl you're in, and have two dogs? Or do you say that because you've always wanted to feel as happy as you feel right now?
No, no, I
Right.
think. Well, no, there's plenty of days where I'm like sitting here and I'm like, not happy. Not that I'm miserable, right?
Right.
Then I
But
kind
like,
of
do you feel like settled, I guess and not settle in the sense that like you settled for something, but settled as in like you're happy in your lifestyle, generally speaking, you're happy, financially,
yeah,
relationship based, lifestyle based.
yeah. When I
So
stop and
then is
like,
that fate, or is that just you being happy? Like is that just your goal was to be happy?
yeah, maybe it's you're fulfilled because you're exactly where you're supposed to be, which would be fate. Because you could anybody could sit there and say, well, you know what? There's also an alternative reality where, and these aren't my values, but right, but it's like I'm with I don't know, Kate Beckinsale, and I have like a house here, and I have like this car, and you know what I mean? Like I'm worth like $10 million. Like I don't even know why I thought of Kate Beckinsale. It was like the first attractive female celebrity I could think of, which I guess ages me. But like there's like you can go in any direction saying like I wish I had this and I wish I had that. But at the end of the day, like no, I think everything I have right now is just
I was gonna say
I'm
though, but
fulfilled
like
by it. I'm
that's
fulfilled by it.
but that's because you're I think we're all down to earth people. Like we all grew up with modest roots in the sense that like
Yeah.
we didn't have
Yeah.
the flashy cars, we didn't have the giant homes, we didn't have those luxuries. So do we need them to be happy? No, like
Yeah, that's true. That's also
you know,
true. Yeah. But I even think it's funny because like growing up where I grew up, which was like a pretty affluent town, and like you see people like driving this nice car and have like this nice house and all that, and you like think to yourself like, okay, to be successful, I think this is also part of what's wrong with our culture, which is like when you ask somebody, well, what makes somebody successful, right? They always define it by you made a lot of money, you have a nice house, you have a nice car. Like it's all this like monetarily, or sorry, it's always about money, and it's about material goods, right? No one is ever like, well, how do you define success? Well, I think you're just happy with what you have, right? Like you're comfortable in your house, you've got good relationships. Like nobody ever really defines it like that. But I would say growing up, like that's how we were sort of taught to define success. And like, yeah, I mean, I'm doing well in my career, but do I have a nice car? Not really. It's a 2013 Jeep, right? Do I have a nice house? Not really. It's like a 3 bedroom, 2 bath, but it's like not a big house. Like, but everything I have, I'm just happy with, because at the end of the day, I think as I'm getting older, I'm sure it's the same with you guys, and I'd like to hear your opinion on this, but like my viewpoint on what's important in life has changed. Even in the last 6 months, I'm like, dude, don't live your job, live this, right? Like so many things have changed, and it's like really learning to stop and smell the roses much more.
What's a COVID vaccine side effect?
That could be.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, cut that. Cut that.
No,
Because I feel the same damn way.
No, I think that's just called maturity. I mean, you're a product of your upbringing, and it's something that you're proud of in your upbringing. Like if I've done anything, I can get real introspective. So it seems like everyone in my family nowadays is in therapy, and they keep telling me I need to go to therapy, which I don't, because I have outlets. My opinion on therapy is you go to therapy if you are struggling to voice what you want to voice. You don't have an outlet to voice it. That's what therapy does. It gives you an outlet. It gives you an ability. I have an outlet. I have a fantastic wife who I can talk to. I have fantastic friends I can talk to. Not to mention, I pretty much love my life anyway. I'm like you. I'm in a very happy place right now.
Mm.
But like, I think the big difference between you and me is like you see your upbringing as like that's how you are. And I say my upbringing and I'm like picking and prodding at things that I do like about it. And then also picking and prodding at a ton of things that like I do my best to keep away from. Right. So I think we all, as you get older, you kind of become introspective into your environment, what you grew up in, who you came into, but you also want to learn what you want to be. So, like, my goal in life is I never want my children to see an unhappy household or a broken household, right?
Yeah.
Because I saw that and it did
Yeah.
damage. And
Yeah.
so, like, I put a lot of time and a lot of effort into my relationship because it means that much to me.
Yeah.
Now, I don't need to because my wife is fantastic. So, like, it's easy, right? When it's right, it's easy. So,
I guess that's
but
why I
like,
don't believe in fate, because you're saying you're consciously putting that effort in, right?
right, exactly. No,
Right.
exactly. Like,
Yeah.
and I think that
Yeah.
I don't, the more we talk about it, the more I don't like the idea. I think that certain things, I think you can say that everything happens for a reason, but I don't think that means that it's fate.
Yeah. I think I'm wondering if it's like if everything happens for a reason is another way of saying like you have to make like what lens do you look at things through, and you have to make the most of the situation that you're in.
It's like a hopeful answer.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
and then
kind
you
of,
think
yeah.
about it too, like even if it's a negative thing, like
Because
you
everybody's
take
fate
that.
isn't positive, you know?
No, no, it's not. And I think you take that negative and like if it happened for a reason, it's how you react to it and how you respond to it. And if it makes you stronger, then yeah, it happened to make you stronger, right? Or like if it helped you get out of something, then it helped you in that sense. So it happened for the reason of helping you get out of it. So I don't think someone's sitting here and going, yep, in 2008, these three guys are supposed to meet each other and 15 years later be talking on a podcast. No, I don't think that's the case. But I think that, like, again, if I don't meet you two, I might still be with the crazy bitch, right? Rich might still be in Disney talking about the junkies.
Right. I just think like we all make conscious efforts and we make decisions that decide our outcomes. And
Right.
like I think about like extremes of it. Like I think about like guys like was it fate that Kobe Bryant was a nasty basketball player, or was it that he was in the gym every day working his ass off, and for 20 years he made a conscious decision every day to become great?
Correct.
And that's why I feel like in everybody's scenario, we're all making decisions that they will eventually arrive at some, we're a product of all the previous decisions we made. And that's just, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that.
I mean,
But
and I think it's like this thing again where like you have this, and as you get older, you shape it more. And I think, Rich, that's why you're like the older you're getting, the more you're feeling it now, is because as you get older, you start to really understand what's important and what you want out of life and who you want to be.
Yeah.
And so you're going to try harder to get into those things and make those things, right? So at 18, we all thought, man, we're gonna have the slamming wife. We're gonna make $1 million an hour, and like we're gonna have bomb ass car and all this cool shit. And now we're like, no, I want a family that I can spend time with and be happy. I want to live in an area that I love. I want to be surrounded by people I appreciate and appreciate me. So,
Yeah.
the just the difference in maturity helps you see things through that different lens.
Without a doubt, dude. So someone was saying reminds me of a quote from Booker T. Washington. Do you know who he is?
I mean, I thought you were going to stop at Booker T, and I was going to be like, oh, the wrestler, the
The wrestler,
five time, five time.
yeah. So Booker T. Washington was born. He was born a slave, and then obviously the Union Army came through. They freed everybody. He taught himself to read, to write. He was a self-made man in a lot of ways, extremely educated. And he had a quote about it's character, not circumstances, makes the man, was what he's saying. And so you can have really shitty circumstances. You're born a slave, you're illiterate, right? Like, but he did not let that hold him back. He went from being a slave to being, like I said, extremely educated, extremely influential, like obviously like an American icon. And so I think that's kind of what I was saying before, and some of what you guys were saying, which is, when we talk about everything happens for a reason, I guess if you look at it from a fate reason, like a fate perspective, if you look at like a homeless person, right? You're going through New York City, you see a bunch of homeless people. Some of them obviously have mental illness issues. Others are just like, literally living on the street. I mean, one time I've seen like a dead person laying there on the street, and it's just like, why is that person fated to grow up just to be like a drug addict or, mentally ill, and they're dying on the street, right? And then this in the winter, they're like sleeping on the grates above the subway. What would be the point of fate, making that happen? Why should one person suffer for that reason? So then I think the alternative then is, they obviously got there. I mean, and some people might disagree with this, right? But they got there because of the decisions that they made. I mean, it's unfortunate, but they started doing drugs, and X, Y, and Z happens, and next thing you know, that's you're
or
seeing
even if it
them.
wasn't bad, they were working in a job, they got laid off. They were doing everything right. They got laid off, and that's how they ended up there. But either way,
Yeah,
their decisions were how they ended up there.
exactly. Like ultimately, no matter how you split it, no matter how that might ruffle some feathers, ultimately they made decisions that got them to where they were. Now, alternatively, right, you have people, again, to go back to Booker T. Washington, he was born a slave. He ends up in the situation he's in after. You have people that are just in a lot of debt, and they turn it around. There's all these circumstances where people are able to stop and see their situation and say, okay, you know what? I need to take action because life's not just going to throw it in my lap. And then they turn that around. Or they could just say, yeah, screw it. Everything goes the wrong way for me. It's never going to work out. And they give up. And then, yeah, they're homeless. So I guess to your point, this is me sort of thinking out loud here, but it's kind of like, yeah, I think I agree that fate would not be
I mean,
it
if
would
you think
not be a
about it,
thing. But
like it's a great quote that you said. I think it's fantastic because we all, in a way, yes, we were blessed that we went to well-to-do universities. We all come from areas where we had decent schooling, although Rich, yours is a little bit questionable. You thought New Jersey was in New England. That's fine. Um, but like, especially in this day and age when, yes, college costs a lot of money. And yes, there are very, very bad people out there who will give you all the money in the world to go to college and then ask you for all that money back, right? But like in a way, everybody still has the ability to go to school. And even if you don't go to college, you still have the ability. It's your God-given right to go to, doesn't cost you anything to go to elementary school. Doesn't cost you anything to go to high school. It really does. Are you going to the greatest one? No, but you're going to one. What you do after that, you still can go get a job with a high school degree. I know plenty of places. We all worked in high school, so I know plenty of places. Are you going to be living a lavish lifestyle? No, but you still are going to be living. You can still put a roof over your head, right?
Mm.
And so the fact that people do that every day means that it's doable. So what's stopping these other people from not doing it, right? It's those people who sit there and go, well, it was my upbringing, man. I can't do it. Now you're just making excuses. Like I had this argument with my sister one time. We were talking, we won't dive too much into it because it was politically based, but her rationale was, well, there are people that their upbringing, they're never going to be able to get out of their situation. I was like, you are though. Like no one is saying to you, you're stuck in this situation for your entire life because you were born into it. No, do something about it. Like that's
Yeah.
just how you have to be. That's how you
You
have
might
to
have
be
to work
successful.
harder. Yeah, you might have
Yeah.
to work harder, but like, you get like look at actually Eric Thomas. So Tyler, you and I have talked about Eric Thomas. I mean, that guy's a motivational speaker. He was homeless, right? He said he was eating out of garbage cans, and look at him now. He's giving motivational speeches, and he's like somebody that a lot of people look up to, and he helps them become a better version of themselves. Look at David Goggins,
Yeah, don't even get
right?
me
I
started
was
on him.
Yeah, you love Goggins, right? But I mean, not that he was. Oh no, he had a terrible upbringing,
His
right?
father beat the shit out of him.
I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
it's going to sound cheesy and corny, guys, but I mean, The Rock had $7 to his name. He was living out of the back of his car.
Yeah. Who's the guy? Steve, the guy from Family Feud.
Steve Harvey.
Steve Harvey.
Harvey, dude. Yeah, his story about how he had basically like $50 left, and he had to like spend it on like gas or whatever to get to a show. It was some crazy story where he like literally had it had to work, and look at him now. So it's yeah. I definitely agree with Booker T. Washington, not Booker
Five
T. Booker
times.
T.
Five
Washington.
times.
But and what you're saying too. I mean, yeah, obviously people are born into very unfortunate situations, but I don't think there's a worse situation to be born into than slavery. And obviously, Booker T rose above it and had that viewpoint. And I think no matter where you are in life, though, whether it's a like even now, there's plenty of stresses with all walks of life. People think probably if you're like super rich that you get nothing to worry about and all that, but I'm sure they've got plenty. I mean, if you look at the families, right, where like they're super rich, dude, half those kids, the kids that were doing all the hard drugs and shit like that, those are the ones whose dads were making like $1 million a year and they were always on
Well,
Instagram.
and they don't get a life. Like, can you imagine
Yeah.
being 6, 7 years old and having cameras shoved in your face and reporters coming after you everywhere you want to go? Like, don't get me wrong. I am not going to sit here and be like, well, we should forgive all the bad things that they do. No, I'm not going to say that. But at the same time, like, it's not easy. It's not like I even say it for, famous people now. Can you imagine just trying to go get a bite to eat or go do groceries or
Oh,
like
I would hate
try
it.
and do it? Like, it's terrible. It's
I would hate it.
terrible.
But that's where it's
Uh,
important to be a good father, good mother, right? Where
Yeah.
when you're better financially off than you were when you're growing up or something, that you have to make sure your parenting skills lead your child down
Yep.
the right path.
Shaq, man. Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal's famous quote. It's not my family's money. It's not my kids' money. It's my money. They're going to go to work. They're going to go to school. They're going to get a job.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you have to teach me the ethic. Well, let me ask you this, Seth. What's like the biggest fear for you as a dad, like for your kid?
Oh man, there's so many. I don't know if I had one terrible one. It's the whole spectrum of things. So you always have the fear that your kid's going to end up a serial killer. Hopefully he won't do that. You're going to end, some of the more realistic ones are, with Caitlin working in healthcare, she sees all things that happen to kids these
Mm,
days. Bullying is worse than it ever has been.
yeah,
So I worry about how he's going to handle those stresses in life. Some of the horror stories she tells me about some of her patients when it comes to um, predatory older people. I never want my child to ever come home
like
and
a
tell
like
me.
a pedophile.
Yeah,
Okay.
she had a child. Well, she didn't. One of her coworkers had a child last week that they found out the child was being groomed by a pedophile. So the pedophile was having them vape cigarettes and showing them adult videos
Like a
and
teacher or just like a
I believe it was an after school care worker person.
okay.
Um, and you hope that you have a good enough communication with your child where one, you can teach them these things. And you don't
Mm,
have to straight up say, like, look, there's going to be people out there that are going to try and give you cigarettes and then touch you. Like, that's not how you parent. How you parent is like, you need to have a certain level of trust. And when something bad has happened, when you're 10 years old, no one should be offering you cigarettes. If someone is
Yeah.
offering you cigarettes, you come tell mom and dad, right? So you have to have that level of communication, but there also has to be, strictness. There's a lot. I think my biggest fear is I'm either going to be too strict or not strict enough and screw my kid up.
Dude, that's what because my parents
Yeah.
were always like, "Oh, you're not gonna have kids," and blah blah blah. Because we talked about it, we're like, yeah, neither of us are in that frame of mind where we want to have kids. Just to say it, and I say like, look, so a lot of things you touched on now, man. Like, first off, I always thought, why are all these kids so depressed and uptight and all that? Because like they've got it easier than they ever had it before, like all that stuff that we didn't have. But then you stop and think for a second, like, yeah, there's the cyberbullying, there's all this shit that you're force fed, there's the algorithms that just screw adults up, right? We see
Yep.
crazy adults
Yep.
getting crazy, picking up a gun and going and shoot up a place because they're doing
Mhm.
bad shit. And like, yeah, so being a kid actually would be super, super hard today. Um, you know, I mean, not to go down too far down the rabbit hole. When you talk about like pedophiles, right? We're now living in a world where you're not supposed to use that word,
What?
right? Yeah, dude, you're supposed to call them minor attracted persons,
Yeah.
max.
Yeah. It's
So it's
there's
like,
so
yeah,
much. And it's like, yeah. And it's, we always look at the generation behind us and we're like, man, they had it rough. They were stuffed in lockers and they had swirlies and all this other stuff. And all we get is picked on in the back of the bus. But like, like kids today, man, there's no way to escape it. You go home, it's on social media. You're in school, it's going to be in school.
yeah,
There's more access to kids now more than ever. And I want to be that parent who's like, I'm not giving my kid a phone, but also then you're going to get picked on because you're the kid
yeah,
who doesn't have a cell
exactly,
phone.
yeah,
So it's like, it's inescapable. I just hope that, I can instill some of the traits in my kid that makes them strong enough to
Yeah.
to be with it.
yeah.
I mean, look, shit, dude, there's a reason I don't talk to anybody in my hometown at all. At all. I was bullied all through school. All through school.
Dude, we talked about that one time, Tyler and I. We said like, do you ever what was it? It was like, have you noticed that Seth never talks about anybody from home?
Don't talk to anyone.
Yeah.
I was bullied so much. From probably third grade through sixth grade, because sixth grade was the last time I rode the bus. I can't remember a day getting off the bus and not crying. I was bullied so incredibly bad because
Pussy,
I was always the
pussy.
overweight kid.
But Seth, you better raise a warrior then.
Dude, iron sharpens iron, man. I am who I am today because of those things, right? So like,
Yeah, it's just yeah.
but yeah, that's just and that's why I never made a connection with anybody because I didn't trust anybody because I got bullied so much. Then I got to high school. I was still a chubby kid. Then I slimmed down, and then I was the kid that was people thought I had an eating disorder because I went from being, the chubby kid to the too skinny kid.
Mm.
And
Sophomore year, remember? I remember we moved back in sophomore year, and you had lost all that weight
yeah,
because you were running every day.
yeah. And then COVID happened and I ran again every day and I got super duper skinny. And then I got a job where I worked way too many hours and I lost most of my hair. And now I have a kid and I have maybe 20 minutes a day to exercise. So
Put him in the cart, Seth. Push him around.
we're getting
Yeah,
there. He's finally back to liking his stroller. So we're doing a lot of walking right now. I walk like 5 miles a day.
get the baby Bjorn and strap him on your back and just do push-ups. And as he gets, it's like what do they call it? Progressive overload. So as he grows every day, like it just gets heavier and heavier.
I'm just gonna have a chest out to here when I'm like 65 years old.
Yeah, you're just teaching him to be hard from the first thing you can remember.
He's gonna come home
Yeah.
from college. I'm gonna be like, all right, son, we've got 3 months to make up with. Get on my back.
Atrophied. Yeah, I think to your point though too, it's like you don't know how to be too strict or how to be because you want to shield them from stuff and you think you're doing the right thing, but then you're maybe being too hard on them. And so you see the kids that are raised in like super strict families, they end up being like the breaking Amish.
Yeah.
Remember that?
I mean,
Remember that show?
look, this is why you see so many college freshmen drop out because they drink so much because when they lived with their parents, they weren't allowed to sneeze without telling their parents, right?
Right.
And you get your first freedom from your parents and it's like, all right, go wild and crazy. And now you fucked
Yeah.
up your entire college career. So I don't want that to be my kid, but at the same time, I don't need a 16-year-old coming home in cop handcuffs, right? So
I mean,
It's like
once probably isn't bad. It happens to us all.
not speaking.
Didn't happen to me because I was more afraid of my parents. My parents, maybe not my mom. My mom would have beat me, but my dad would have legit killed me. So I never wanted to cross the line. I was more afraid of them than
Yeah,
you
and
all.
but it's like you never want to say that you want your kids to be afraid of you. I think you want your kids to be afraid of consequences for doing things that are wrong,
Mm.
right?
Oh, so you a man now? Get to fight him when has he tried to spread his wings at all in the last year?
No.
Let's bump him down on the ground. Sit down, kid.
He bit me one day and I backhanded the shit. No, I'm just kiiding. I'm just kidding. I have not had my child. Um, but no,
I'll
it's
edit
one
that
of
part
those
out.
things.
I'll edit that
Cut that.
part out.
Cut it out. No, it's that thing where like I don't think you want your child to be afraid of you, but I think you want your child to, and I don't want to say afraid because maybe afraid is not the right word, but
Like respect your authority.
you want this healthy kind of weariness about doing
Yeah.
wrong. Like
Yeah.
I like to think like I've always had, even to this day, where I'm like, this isn't right. Should I be doing this? Like it's a little weariness of like, what are the consequences of doing something wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, look, we're all human. I made mistakes still, so
Well, I can tell you by the time I was like 5 or 6, I pretty much knew what to do and what not to do. Because like by the time I was 5 or 6, I definitely got hit with the wooden spoon a lot. I got hit with the
well,
belt. I'm not like,
you're Italian. I mean, that's just
yeah,
natural. That's a Tuesday night.
yeah. It's not like I was
That's
like
how they say I
beaten.
love you.
Yeah, yeah. It's not like I was
Family
beaten like nearly
family
to
dinner.
death. But I
No, and
mean,
it's not like you were beaten for no reason,
no.
right?
And honestly though, it's like if you say that nowadays, people freak out. They're like, "Oh my god, like you got hit with a belt or a spoon." It's like I honestly think that I'm not saying, hey, this is the right way to parent a kid, but I honestly like think I am so much better for it because like it got to the point too where my dad could just point to me and I'm like, this guy ain't bluffing. He'll fuck my ass up. So I need to
Well,
just shut up.
so the big thing right now is called gentle parenting, where you like talk to your child like they're your peer, and like you give them choices and
Dude,
all this. And I'm like,
You're
that's
so
never gonna happen.
my
soft.
one cousin
Haley,
who you
So
know,
oh my
soft.
God. Oh
my
my
one
God.
cousin who you know who you
Oh
met,
yeah. Probably was gentle parented.
oh, dude, yes, like
No,
literally it was you couldn't even raise your voice to this kid and
Caitlin,
he was
Caitlin says one of her biggest pet peeves is when parents come in with their kids and it's time for a shot and they're like, okay, you tell us when you're ready to get the shot. And she's like, I don't have all day for this. Like, we're not
yeah,
going to
like
sit here until the child's ready. Sit your ass in the chair and
yeah,
take the shot. But
yeah.
no, and it doesn't even have to be like super intense. Like, I'm going to beat you with the belt if you misbehave. But like, I remember growing up and look, now that I'm an adult and I know these things, like, yeah, I had some real bad hyperactivity issues. I was a hyper kid. And you know what we did? There was a lot of times I missed out on a lot of things because I was being hyper. So had to go sit in the car. Well, my sisters did the fun things. And so that taught me that you have to, if you want to do the fun things, you have to behave, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's just that you can't give these children choices. I'm
You got
sorry, you're a child.
you got to make life hard for them. If life's too easy, then they're
Well, then
gonna
they
make
expect
the wrong
everything to be
decisions
easy, and they get to
and give in to
college.
them. And
Yeah, and they get to college and they're like, why am I not getting A's? It was so easy all the time. Why am I not just getting A's now?
Yeah.
So,
And then when you get into the real world, like there's actually consequences. You have KPIs and there's consequences for your, poor performance and stuff like that. So I think you do have to kind of get a kid ready to just deal with the real world. Like quite
yeah.
honestly.
No, and I think like again, it all goes back to, being a product of your environment. And if you have a good environment, you'll be a good product. So that's my goal, is to always let my children live in a good environment. So
Yeah, yeah. But like, if you yell at your kid, it doesn't mean it's a bad environment
no,
because you yell at the kid a few
absolutely not.
times.
you're
Absolutely. But I'm also
setting
not
rules
gonna.
and making sure they
Right.
follow them.
And I'm also
Yeah.
not going to just yell at them and that's that though. Like you yell at them and you send them to your room. And then instead of just being like, all right, you're done in your room, you go up and you talk to them and you make sure they understand why they went to their room. Like you don't just, and that's, I think the other problem is a lot of times you see people will scold their kid or punish their kid and then not explain to the kid what they did wrong. So the kid's not going to learn. The kid's just like, oh, this one time something happened and I got spanked. But if you say to the kid, this is why I did this, they're going to learn from it.
It's like training a dog.
Thank you.
I don't know if I ever, I'm laughing because I don't know if I ever got sent to my room. I know I've fled to my room, but I don't know if I've ever got
Oh
sent to
my
my
God, that
room.
used to be the
I'm
biggest
sure I did
punishment for
both.
me. I
Yeah.
got sent, my mom would send me to my
Yeah.
room. So obviously my dad would take the belt, but my mom was always like, you need to go to your room. And then I would come out of my room and I would say mean things and still probably get the belt. But
The only time I ever got told go to your room, it wasn't even go to your room. It was get back in your room. It was Christmas Eve, and I had like a sore throat. I was sick, and I'm finally like, okay, I need to get up and get water because my throat's killing me. I can't sleep. I get up, I open the door, and my dad's watching TV on the couch with all of the presents around the tree, and he just goes, "Get back in your room." And I got back in my room because the guy was because I knew he wasn't bluffing. I knew he wasn't bluffing, but I don't think I ever got to my room. No, not that I can recall. Definitely, like I said, ran to it and shut the door. But again, it only took like one or two or maybe three run-ins with the law to know that like there were consequences, and then beyond that it wasn't. Even those like a few times weren't that bad. I remember too, one time my mom was like, she was chasing me around the dining room table with the spoon, and I'm running, and she literally goes, stand still so I could hit you. And I was the idiot. I stood still. She cracked me because I just figured I'm just gonna take this
You're gonna
beating
get hit
now.
at some point. Just
Yeah, like
might as
it's
well.
gonna
might
get
as well
worse.
just.
If I don't stop now, it's gonna get worse. So like let me just I'll just take it now. I'll take a few lickings and then I'll
This did this happen last weekend when you were in New Jersey?
it was last weekend. Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, you're
It's
going
funny
back to
that
Jersey this weekend, right? Or
no,
Memorial
I
Day?
was no, I'll be back for like 2 days after Memorial Day. That's about it though. Like during the week, I'm taking some time off. Yeah, I was looking at tickets to fly home, and like it was just absurd because the holiday, obviously. But I'm like, you know what? I was just home for 4 or 5 days. My dad came back with me here, spent like I think over a week with him. So, I've seen them playing. I think. No, I'm not saying I saw him too much, but like I don't feel like guilty, like not flying home for an extra 3 days.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, but I will say, like, I still to this day, and maybe again, and I'm sure you guys are the same way, but I think especially like an Italian family, like you are raised to respect your elders. And to this day, like I'm not gonna say like I'm afraid of my dad because he's like he's older now, but I still like don't want him to. I don't want to upset him.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's because of the respect you have.
Yeah, yeah. I have that level of respect. So it's no longer I think he's gonna beat my ass if I get out of line, but but I know he's gonna like I know he'll be the first person to tell me he thinks I'm out of line if I were to do something stupid.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think dude, Seth, I mean, obviously it sounds like a huge challenge, but I guess it'll definitely be fulfilling, much more fulfilling too, as you see them like for example, and maybe this is the same for all you guys. So like when I went to college and I moved out, I think that's when I went from being like just like the son, the boy, to like my dad and I having a much different relationship and him seeing me as a man and getting my career. And to this day, he's always like, man, I'm so proud of you. I never would have thought you'd have done what you did. I'm so proud of you, blah, blah. So it changes. And I'm sure it's much more fulfilling to see me now with like my own house and like relationship and like all this stuff than probably even when I was like 12, you know?
Yeah. Well, and part of that is again, and Caitlin and I talk about this, like you're your kid's parent, you're not your kid's friend. You can be your kid's friend when they're an adult. Like you have to be their parent. You can't be friendly to them. You can't, yes, you
Yeah.
can have fun and be joyous and do things, but at the end of the day, you're their parent. So
Right.
Yeah. From the top rope. The
yeah, but
swanton bomb.
I mean, I've already stone cold stunnered him like 6 times. It's fine.
Perfect. Perfect.
And you probably won't have to do it a seventh time.
Did you say when you would give him a phone?
We haven't decided yet. I think so the rule with me was always once you were traveling for sports. So I think that's kind of where it comes to. I don't think he needs a phone before that. He certainly doesn't need an iPhone when he's 6 years old. So
Yeah. Well, like my niece though has like they have it set up where she can get texts on an iPad or whatever, and but like they have to approve all the numbers that text her, and they could see all the texts that she gets as well. So like there's there are obviously parental controls that you could leverage.
Oh, I don't even think it's a parental control thing. I think it's a thing that you're a kid. Go be a kid. Go outside. Get
Go
That's
dirty.
outside.
true. Yeah,
Play.
yeah,
Go
yeah.
Scrape your
outside.
knees on the bike.
Get
Fucking
dirty.
run into a
Play in the
tree or
mud.
something.
Yep. Get outside. I don't need you in front of a screen. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Are there a lot of kids in your neighborhood?
oh yeah. So our direct neighbor has 2 kids. The neighbor across the way has 2 kids, and then diagonal, their kid is only a couple weeks older. So lots of
Okay.
kids, lots of bikes, lots of places to go. So
Oh man. All right. So you mentioned plenty of kids, plenty of bikes. Okay.
yeah.
By the way, this is a great conversation starter with the ladies.
Oh yeah, we're all trying for that nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know we're all like engaged or married. You guys are married. I'm married. All right. So, um, and actually, this is probably a terrible one. I just want to say that. But what's like you talk about bikes and all that stuff, right? Obviously, okay. So what's a song that you hear that brings you back in time? When you hear it, it makes you think of like summertime as a kid,
To what
riding,
age?
your bikes.
What age? There's songs
Okay.
for all of them.
I was
Like
gonna
what,
say
like
this.
what? I don't know, like 10 to 12, or like a range like nine to 12, like whenever you're actually riding a bike around the neighborhood. Right. Think of like it just takes you back to like a summer night. You're on your bike.
Mambo number 5.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Dude, what year was that?
Like 01, I think. 2000, 2001.
Honestly, probably the Macarena would be mine. I very vividly remember my elementary school music room because we used to have to do the Macarena in it.
Wait. Macarena takes you back to a summer night on your bike? Are you just
Dude,
talking
I didn't
about
listen to
like
I
a
didn't listen
90s
to
song? Or?
first of all, I did listen to music while I was on my bike. What
Well,
were you?
yeah. True.
But
But
like
like, yeah, true.
yeah, I would say that brings me back to I mean, again, you have different time frames for different things. So I can tell you right now, just the other day I heard Baby, are you down, 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 down,
Brings you back
down?
to college into the
Immediately,
yeah.
immediately went to Times at Hofstra.
Yep.
Sophomore year.
That song does it for me too.
Going
So I
to
got 2 more.
Hilarious, dude.
NSYNC
Yeah,
Bye
okay.
Bye Bye, and then Coldplay.
Oh,
Was it Scientist or
that song almost makes me sad. But like not for like because the lyrics are sad, but because it does take me back to a time and place where it was just like man, just like innocence, good times, like
Yep.
yeah.
All
So you
those songs
said
are that for me. Yeah.
Mamo number 5. What was the other one?
NSYNC Bye Bye Bye. It was just like these things like remind me of like campouts as a kid in the neighborhood or something like we're
Ooh,
Coldplay, The
think
Scientist.
yeah. And then Drops of
um,
Jupiter is another one. I think those
Oh
ones
man,
Drops of Jupiter, good one.
that's a good one.
Um, Aaron Carter, Nick Carter's brother, the guy who died like a little bit ago, he had his own little album there after Backstreet Boys '96 album, I think. And he had the song Candy on it. That song,
Oh, I know the
definitely.
song. Yeah.
You know what song I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna go there. All right, so
What about you, Rich?
uh dude, Uncle Cracker, Drift Away.
Ooh, that takes me to the bus in middle school. I don't know
Does
why,
it?
because I used
It
to listen
takes
to the
it
CD.
Yes, Uncle Cracker. Yes.
takes me back. That takes me back to literally. Actually, what year did that come out?
Does it take you
But
back to like specific like
Memories.
a specific day, time, location?
yeah,
Because I
like
feel like it
some
does
like
that for me
summer.
too. I just don't
Some
remember
of
the
them,
day. I couldn't tell you the day.
some of them bring me back to locations. So, Limp Bizkit's pretty much the whole Chocolate Starfish album.
Oh my
I
god, dude!
I
Yeah.
very specifically remember always playing. I had this Hot Wheels game for my PlayStation that I would be playing, and I would be playing the Limp Bizkit CD in the background.
Great. And did you get the on
Yeah, I
like
got the
adult
parental
version of it? Parental,
advisory.
yeah.
It was
Dude,
not
I
my
might.
first parental advisory. My first parental advisory was Blink 182's Enema of the State.
Ooh.
That's funny. Christina bought me the. I remember we went to this place called Coconuts. Which
Yes.
sold CDs. Yeah, that's
Yes.
where I got that. I got that CD. So, uh, Mambo number 5 was 1999.
Okay, I thought it was 2000, 2001. Gotcha. That
Close.
makes
Yeah.
sense.
Aaron Carter's Candy was. I Want Candy. Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my god, dude. 2000. That's hilarious. Bye 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 was 2000. Drops
So
of Jupiter was 2001.
So I guess what the 9 to 11 year old time frame was I was thinking about was the most
Yeah,
carefree then.
that's what it
Yeah,
sounds like.
about that. Yeah. Yeah. Uncle Cracker Drift Away was 2002. I still listen to that all the time, by the way.
That's such a
And
good
The
song.
Scientist was 2003. That's such a good song. I don't know what it is, but when I hear Uncle Cracker, so in the summer, they used to have this thing we called it camp, but it wasn't like, you go away like camp, like that kind of thing. But they had this like area where they would have these basically high school students were the counselors, and they would sort of like watch you for the day, and you could play, like, you played sports, there was like arts and crafts, like all this stuff. And there was all these kids in the neighborhood, like everybody would ride there in the morning on their bikes, and it's all Italian kids, for the most part, but we used to, yeah, like you used to just sit there, like some people listen to music, and you of course had like CDs back then you had cassettes, man. Maybe some CDs actually around 2000.
I had Backstreet Boys Millennium on a cassette.
Did
I
you
was gonna
really?
say
Yeah.
I had Aaron Carter on a cassette for sure. For sure.
Remember like burning those?
You mean recording?
Yeah,
I
recording,
remember
yeah,
You
burning
had to
recording.
CDs.
you had to make sure you
Yeah,
hit it at the right time, where you got the radio announcer on there.
yeah. Or remember Kazaa or Napster back in the
I,
day?
Oh my God,
Napster,
LimeWire.
LimeWire. Yeah.
LimeWire, holy shit, dude! I never did it. I was lucky to have friends that would like do that for me, download all the stuff, and then burn me a CD.
Oh, it
Um,
absolutely murdered computers. Murdered
all the
it
time.
because
But
the
n-
virus software back then was such a joke that it just was like, whoop.
it's
Yeah.
it's crazy now we got Spotify and stuff because while we were mentioning Uncle Cracker, I just turned Spotify on and have Uncle Cracker playing in my head right now.
They
So
do.
that you have songs just on command like that.
It takes me back to literally. I either think of like a summer day at that place, like playing with those kids, or for whatever reason, like a Fourth of July night, like riding my bike around, just like for whatever reason, Uncle Cracker always warps me back to that
Hmm.
all the time. And I think the scientists too, like you had said, it's glad you said that. That warps me back to a time, as well. What were we in? Like we would have been like eighth grade,
What year is that one? 2003?
2003. I think
Yeah,
it was 2003.
that'd been eighth
13 to
grade.
7th, 8th grade. Yeah.
I
Yep.
moved to Rhode
So
Island in '04. I was still in PA in '03. So that's I kind of like remember where I was in certain times by where we lived.
yeah. It's a fun game to play, because it's funny when you ask people like how different of a opinion they have. Like I never would have said "Candy" by Aaron Carter.
Dude,
Never.
so so is the question always phrased? I'm like, have you used it on like work retreats or something? Like work icebreakers?
No, I just like thought about it like recently. I was just like, what, like, yeah, just like the question would be like, what song when you hear it makes you think of like a summer night on a bike, like being a kid on a bike, summer night.
I'd be interested to hear like if you asked like a bunch of 60-year-olds what if you asked about different decades of their
Oh my
lives,
God, they'd
like
be like Frankie
Yeah.
Valley,
you can hear different songs, like take me back to when you were like 15 or something, or take me back to when you were
Yeah.
25, what was on the radio, like what songs take you back there. I'd be interested to hear that.
Well, I mean, Seth, how old are your parents?
65, 66.
Okay, what about you, Tyler? Yours are
62,
younger, right?
63.
Yeah, okay. So my dad just turned 69 today. My mom's 68 yesterday. Which she texted you. I woke up to a text saying, "Hey, it's your dad's birthday. Don't forget." Of
You had
course,
forgotten your mom's birthday,
my
hadn't you?
mom's birthday. But thank God, it's a fate. She got my Mother's Day
It
card
all
today.
comes
She
back.
opened it up, so I was like, that kind of saved my ass. I felt bad. She says, like, "I know you're busy, like, don't worry about it," but I felt like shit. Um, but like, so they're a little older. So like, when you think about when they were around that age, dude, they had some sick music. They had like CCR. They had a lot of Led Zeppelin. They had a lot of great bands from when they were younger.
I mean, the fact that you didn't start with the Stones or the Beatles is a little
Oh,
sad,
dude, the
but
Beatles is my mom's favorite band. The Stones, I don't really like, to be honest.
oh yeah, Stones
They
are my
got some
dad's
songs.
favorite.
They got some songs, but like of all the bands back then, I never, I don't know, they don't really do much for me.
So
I tell you
okay,
what,
okay, go ahead, Seth.
I was gonna say it's crazy to listen to how like we had to just think to pick a song from that time frame. And literally if you play any song from our parents' generation, they're like, oh my God, this was during this time frame and the band was doing like my dad can tell you what was happening in the Rolling Stones when a certain song was coming. He just told me um I don't remember much about it. There was a song by a guy that just died. Super helpful, I know, super descriptive. But the story from it is that the guy who wrote the song, the girl who he wrote it about, was the chick who injected John Belushi the night he died. And I was like, how do you know this? Like, where did that even come from?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wait, I gotta.
Okay, so I
gotta
got
look
one.
that
I got one question.
Okay.
We said Jay Sean down, but what other songs remind you of our time at Hofstra or bring you
Everything
back to
from
specific nights?
everything from mid 2000s R&B because that's all Tyler played freshman year.
Bobby
The
Valentino
McDonald's
rear view.
commercial.
Oh,
Remember
the
the McDonald's
McDonald's.
one?
Got that McNuggets
McDonald's loving.
loving.
Dude,
Um,
Soldier Boy. When I hear Soldier Boy, I think of
Soulja
freshman year.
Day and Night by
Day and Night by Kid
Kid Cudi.
Cudi.
That song reminds me
Yes.
of Hofstra.
Yes, that song reminds me of Hofstra. Um, Actually, Rich, you'll get a kick out of this. The song by Fun that tonight, you know that one.
Oh yeah,
We
yeah.
That one just reminds me of Happy Hours senior year when you and I finally started going out.
Oh, dude, Wild Ones by Flo Rida
Oh,
and Sia. I was like, what did I say? I said it's 2011. You're at McKeeb's.
At McKeeb's.
That brings me
that
back
is a
to
good song.
Remember the night,
Yeah,
were you
Prince.
with me? Were you with me the night the bouncer almost didn't let me into McKeeb's because he didn't like my eyes?
I was with you that night. That
Because he
was
didn't
tonight
like your
that
eyes.
was that the
He
night that
literally,
Marissa got puked on?
yes, that was the day Marissa got puked on. We're getting into McKeeb's. It's like, I don't know, like 5:30, 6 o'clock. It's happy hour. And we're like walking over there. And I think we had had a beer beforehand. Like it was nothing crazy. We were just going to meet them, have a couple beers or whatever. And we get to the door and like Rich lets me go first. I go up to the guy and he looks at my license, which was a Vermont license. And then he looks at me and he looks at my license and he looks back at me and he goes, dude, you got some non-trusting eyes. And I was like, what? He's like, I don't like your eyes, bro. And Rich was like, no, he's cool. It's fine. And I was like, what is wrong with my eyes?
I see what he's saying. You do have those
I
eyes.
I mean it's I think it's my brow, my prominent
Oh, it might
brow.
be the glasses. It could be the glasses.
Could be. Could
You
be.
got, dude, it's funny though how like music does take you to a time and place. Like when I hear fuck, dude, now of course I can't remember their name. They sing that like song like Little Lion or Lion. Oh man, dude, Mumford and Son. Like I hear that, I think of like fall of my last semester at Hofstra.
Ooh, ooh, I got one. What about one that reminds you of like a breakup, like a sad
Death Cab for Cutie.
that one? Panic!
Yes.
What song?
Wait, what breakup did you have where Death Cab for Cutie was?
It's the first time me and the crazy one broke up in high school.
I think mine
It
was
was
Lifehouse
around.
Broken.
Oh, that's a good song.
Yeah.
That's a
What
good
what
song.
what Death Cab for Cutie song?
I can hear it. So where soul meets body, I think is what it's called.
I don't know if I
I
know that one.
wanna live. It's like 20. Let's see, that would have been 2005 or 2006, maybe. I went big into a alt rock phase in 05, 06 time frame.
And so that brought you back. Oh, this was before we admit.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Interesting.
When I met you guys, I was big into, well, I'm still big into Dave Matthews. But I was big
Always.
into Matthews. I
You
mean,
did love
once with
them.
Dave,
Yeah.
well, I mean, when you're with Dave, you're with Dave for life. So remember when you guys both hated the fact that I like country music, and then all of a sudden you both started like country music?
There was like the
I don't
2 year
know what you're
dude. I'm
talking about.
actually ashamed of that sometimes. So Tyler's the reason I got into country music.
I brainwashed Rich
Yeah,
when we
we
went
were
on a
going up
camping
to
trip.
yeah, we were going to Mount Washington, and there was or no, we were going to New Hampshire. Yeah, and but we hiked Mount Washington. And you had a CD. You what? Just got back from Texas?
Yes,
Something
because I
Yeah,
think you were in. I'm pretty sure you were in Texas when you discovered it, Tyler.
yeah.
yeah.
And it was like Springsteen,
Oh
Wagon
my God,
Wheel.
Yeah. That
Uh,
was a good time for country music.
that was a good
it
time for
was a
country music.
very good time. Then we
Yeah,
went to that Luke Bryan concert after we went camping.
That was a blast.
I,
that was
to
a lot of
this
fun.
day, I have camped in the same area. Caitlin and I have gone 3 or 4 times to the exact same area. I can't find that campground we stayed at. I don't remember where it
Really?
was. Yeah, I don't remember where it was.
I
Don't
couldn't
remember
tell
what it
you
was
much
called.
about it.
Nope. I remembered that we had a bunch of PBR and a bunch of cigars. I remember that
We had
Tyler
two
got
tents.
there.
Chewing tobacco, which made me sick for like 3 hours.
Oh yeah, I forgot about it.
That was like my first time having it, I think.
Oh man, I
Did we get
remember.
separated at the concert?
Uh, Yeah, I think there was a time where we did. I think it was
We
like after the
did.
bathrooms or something like
We
that.
did, and that's why after that, I remember we had a strict policy of just standing around the person holding an empty can and peeing in that, so we didn't get separated.
We had to hold each other's dicks
We
as we
peed in the
peed, so we
cans.
wouldn't.
I don't
I
remember
peed.
that.
I know I peed in a can that night. I don't know about you guys.
Well, I remember after the concert, there was like 100 of us in the woods pissing.
Yeah,
Uh, I don't know how the cops didn't, but like break it up. But there was
that
like
was
we were
the
all
one.
pissing in
That
the
was the
dark.
time. Remember, we were playing beer pong with water. This is why I hated Saratoga because we were playing beer pong with water, and they were like, "You can't play this game," and we are like, "What? There's no beer around," and they were like, "It implies drinking," and I was like, "Dude,
Oh
do
my
you see?"
god, yeah,
Do you
dude.
see every other game being played
So I
that can
can't
be
play
implied
frisbee because
drinking?
it's like
That's what I
cornhole, or
said. That yeah.
I remember that now that you mention it. Yeah. Well, I think so. I rarely listen to country now.
yeah,
If I
me
do listen to
either.
country, it's some of the older stuff, but dude, like Luke Bryan now, I'll just say it. Like I hear him now and I'm like, I'm ashamed that I actually went to two of his concerts. Or I hear like Lee Bryce, I never liked, right? He just
Yeah, and I still to
I
this day don't
drive
understand.
your truck.
It's
yeah,
Rich's
yeah.
favorite
I'm part of the
song ever.
drinking crowd. Like, no, you're fucking not, bro.
What about
Like,
parking lot party, bro?
no, I don't like that. I don't like his music. There's a lot of people. You know the thing about country too is country back then, I guess, was probably more Southern rock. You had Jason Aldean, you had Brantley Gilbert, you had people like that who were popular. But like now, it's kind of like you take somebody that has a Southern. It's pop music with somebody with a Southern accent.
You don't like Luke Combs? I like
Dude,
Luke
no. Okay,
Combs.
wait, hang on. Here's what I don't
Wait,
like
how do
about
you
Luke
not like
Combs.
Luke Combs? Everybody
Yeah.
likes Luke Combs.
Here's why I don't like Luke Combs. And I hope, wait, I'm looking up right now because this might be the wrong guy. Okay, yeah, Luke Combs. So, you ever watch Meat Eater? Wait, is that his wife?
No.
Not bad, Luke
Yes,
Combs.
his wife is very attractive.
Not bad, Luke Combs.
Yeah, his wife is
Um,
very attractive.
but so you don't watch Meat Eater?
No.
So it's a show about like hunting. This guy's a master hunter, goes around the world, hunts and all this stuff. One episode, I think they go out to like Wyoming or South Dakota or something like that. They're hunting pronghorn antelope or whatever the hell that
Is this the
deer
dude
is
that
called.
Rogan talks about? Steve something?
Steve
Oh, that's the
Ranella.
Liver King. I thought that was the
No,
Liver
Steve
King.
what?
Steve Ranella. That's
Steve
him.
Ranella. Yeah, it's that guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, dude, Luke Combs is with him. They're hunting together. When he talks, he's just like a normal guy. He's like, "Yeah, I'm Luke Combs, and I really hope we get a deer." But then in his music, he's like, "Yeah, I'm a country boy." It's just a different voice, and it's like him and Miranda Lambert. It's like when you hear him speaking, normal.
Bro, listen to the Rogan
I'm
episode.
not gonna I'm not gonna lie, dude. I thought that your dislike of Lee Bryce was a bit ridiculous for your reasoning, but your dislike for people for
Yeah.
not their real voice not sounding like their singing
Because
voice.
it's an act, dude. It's an
Bro,
act.
it's not just listen to his life story when he had on Rogan. He Rogan interviewed him like a couple months ago.
Who
Bro,
Combs?
yeah.
I mean, look, I'm not gonna say he's a bad person. I don't know the first thing about him. I just think like like the whole problem I
I
have
mean,
with
he
country in
makes
general is like they make these people put on an act. It's like, hey, you're a normal person, but when you're up there on stage, like you have to act like
you
you have this like
do
thick
know
Southern
that
drawl
you
and
do know that the lead singer of Creed didn't actually talk like this all the time, ma.
true, but like,
Hello,
is there
my
like a
friend.
what would even be that persona that he would be putting on? You know what I mean? Like they're putting on an entirely different
But are
persona.
they, or
I
are they
think you're
just
thinking
changing
about
their
Yeah,
it too
dude.
much.
voice?
I don't
Like
think it
He's
affects their
still a
music at all.
country boy.
I'm
He just
I'm
doesn't
like
sound Southern.
I'm trying to skirt around. I'm trying to skirt around a word to describe what they sound like.
Do you get mad at
A
actors and
redneck.
actresses too?
Yeah,
I
dude.
don't like. I don't. I'm not a
Are
celebrity
you
guy, to
the
be
type of
honest.
are you the type of person who is like, this person stole a British part from a British person when they're an American and they're using a British accent?
Do you only watch documentaries?
Wait, I'm trying.
Because if you don't like people putting on an
No.
act, I mean, then
I'm very
No, dude,
very
you know what I'm saying. It's plus this is music. What
I'm
I'm trying
very
to,
perplexed.
What about
I'm very
stand up? Do you watch stand
perplexed.
up? I mean, that's all an act, but is that
yeah,
is
but
that
it's like, but they're not like, dude. Like, if country is basically, let's take a pop star and make him sound like a redneck
Some countries,
and
some country is still
call it country.
country.
is that the word you're trying to avoid? Redneck?
Yeah, I don't want to say redneck.
I,
I don't know.
I just feel
I
like
don't know.
knowing you as long as I've known you, you've said much worse. So avoiding the word redneck is an interesting one.
He's burned a slug before. I mean, anybody who's burned a slug.
Yeah.
I was forced into that. I was young and impressionable. I think. Wait. So what was your question, Seth? People that steal a British part.
I just
Oh,
so the
like
big
in a
thing,
movie. In a movie.
yeah. So the big thing, and I use that
Oh
in
yeah, I think it's kind of stupid. Like Peter Dinklage had to have like a fake English accent in Game of Thrones.
That's
They're
where it
playing
took
a
place,
character.
man. It's either playing a character that's not who they are.
Why not just get British people? I don't know. I just like why do they all have a British accent? I don't get it.
Let me rephrase this then. So Bryan Cranston, I forget the name of the movie, but he was in a movie and he played a he. All
Dude,
right, this is gonna be tough
the
to say.
Hangover. The Hangover.
No. He played Bryan Cranston was not in The Hangover.
Wait, isn't Bryan Cranston the guy from he's like Joe Rogan's buddy, isn't he?
No, he's from Breaking Bad.
Yeah, Breaking Bad.
Oh, fuck. Who am I thinking of?
I have no idea.
Neither.
So anyway, he was in a movie where he played a paraplegic person, and he caught a bunch of flack because there are paraplegic people who could have played that role. So
That valid.
are you
valid.
mad at Bryan Cranston?
I'm mad at Brantley not Brent. Well, no, I'm not mad.
Luke
I'm
Combs?
not. No. I was
Do you
gonna say,
think
Luke Combs?
who's
Wait,
the guy who
what
played the
is-
elephant man? Bradley Cooper. I'm mad at Bradley Cooper for taking the role from a guy who actually had elephantitis. Okay. Who's the guy who played Brian? Oh, Brian Callen is who I'm thinking of. The guy who played
Oh,
Samir.
that dude is hilarious. He
Tell
is.
him Samir says hello.
Hello. No. Hello.
I love that.
That dude is hilarious.
That was me on my end. I think.
No, you're good.
Well, I'm not gonna say I hate Luke Combs. I just have an irrational
Thank you.
disdain.
You
That's all I wanted
you
to
said
do.
irrational,
irrational
Okay.
disdain
Yeah.
for the fact that country nowadays just
Thank
seems
you.
like pop with a thicker Southern accent. And
I mean,
people
some of
put
it
on.
is, and you should know that because they play it on pop stations.
Well,
now,
dude,
so-
it's like not Furio. Who is it? Silvio from The Sopranos. Remember, he was like, "Oh, hey," all the time, and it was just like it was just way,
gabagool.
was way too much.
Hey.
it was all like he just layered it on way too thick, and I can't stand when people are like trying way too hard. So it's like Luke
All
Combs,
right.
you probably got
Would
a
you
great
have said
voice,
that?
bro.
I'm sorry. Would you have said that if he was pretending he was Irish and was chasing potatoes or drinking beer?
If he was like,
So
if
do
it was
you
like
not
layered on
like?
too thick, yeah.
So wait, do you not like the Boondock Saints then?
I mean, I love Rocco, obviously. Yeah, Boondock Saints is a good movie. I think like
Finish the
yeah,
joke.
it's a good movie.
What
Continue
other
the joke.
irrational angers do you have now that you're out
I
here?
just
You're putting
feel like
yourself
you
out here
have-
like that. I feel like
I
there's,
feel like
there's
you
more
have
that you're willing
Aaron,
to.
Aaron Rodgers getting way too much credit for what his receivers do. Pisses me off.
also was a little bit of
It's
like there are a
no.
lot of things that Aaron Rodgers do that can piss people off. Me personally, what
How do you feel
really
about his
pisses
COVID? His COVID.
so that was not where I was going, shockingly. But do we not find it funny that he now works technically for Johnson and Johnson?
It's ironic.
The
What do you mean?
Johnson,
Are they on the Jets?
yeah, Woody Johnson and Chris Johnson own the Jets.
I
They
didn't
are
know that.
Johnson and Johnson. But anyway, what I don't like about Aaron Rodgers, I drawed that out because I was waiting for Tyler to have a reaction. What I really don't
I feel
like
you were
about him
teasing me. I couldn't
is
control myself.
he's very much a me player. Like I feel like he very much cares about how Aaron Rodgers does and not necessarily the team he plays on. And the big case in point in that is when they lost the NFC Championship 2 years in a row, and all he wanted to talk about was winning his MVP.
So bottom line up front, Seth is not happy that
Bluff? Bluff. You
yeah,
hit me with a bluff.
That Seth is not happy Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback.
I
Like, he
wouldn't
made
say
it
I'm not
okay.
happy. I wouldn't say I'm not happy. I'm very excited for this season as a Jets fan. I just think that we all need to pump the brakes on we're winning the Super Bowl.
Summarize it in one word. How do you feel about the Aaron Rodgers acquisition?
Hopeful.
I like it.
Sweet.
That's a good one. That's not where I thought I was going.
So, all right, I got one, guys. And it's not actually a question that you need to answer. It's more of a format of your podcast. Do you guys do a segment with each guest of some sort that you're gonna have?
You're our first guest, so no
Oh my
idea.
God, come on, guys. You gotta get something.
We just kind of like, honestly, the whole purpose of this was just for him and I to catch up like once a week.
Yeah, thanks for the invite, guys.
Yeah, Seth, we should. Let's just do the Three Ruse podcast. The Ruse podcast. 1405, podcast 1405. Was that the name? Was that the name? The number of our movie 1405?
Sounds right.
Yes, it was 1405.
Wild times, wild times. Okay, so dude, we've covered a lot tonight. Some good questions too. So I think the Not to toot my own horn, but I think the song one's actually a pretty good question.
That's a good
Seth,
question.
Seth is right though. We do need to come up with like a thing we do every episode or something.
Yeah.
Like I've seen some do like 4 questions at the
Every
end.
podcast.
Yeah,
They
like
got their thing.
what's the
Bussin'
one?
with
Maybe it could
Bussin'
just
with
be
the
us going
boys.
out by going.
We just do it at the same time, and we don't let them know it's coming. We just do it, and they just stare like, "What the fuck?"
And then you both just simultaneously exit.
Oh man, it'd be great if we could like record the reaction for the next 3 seconds.
That would be so
It's
awesome.
just them, and they're
Just
like,
oh my god.
So we
Yeah.
probably do need like a lightning round.
You need something. I mean, I listen to Bussin' with the Boys, and they do like a tier talk and then a shout out, no free shout out. So the tier talk is like they have a category and you rank your top 3 of something each week, and then their shout out, no free shout out is just something that they're like excited for in life that happens.
Yeah.
But like
yeah.
usually the ones that I listen to that are like the weekly ones have stuff like that. So you guys think on that. Rich, next time you have me on, what you should do is come up with some science questions beforehand and send them to me. So if I don't know the
Oh,
answers,
we didn't
I
even
can
ask. Yeah, we didn't even ask you any, did we?
no. So if you have them next time, send them beforehand. Like I'm a very big fan of the non-prep, like just shoot from the hip. But if there are ones I don't know, I'll research them and I'll come up with answers and try and dumb down the answers for you.
Well, here's a question for you. Is there like a whole beef between MDs and the other doctors?
No.
There isn't a silent war, like a silent.
There's got to be like
okay. First of all, if there was a silent war, you think I'd tell you guys, and you think I would tell you on a podcast that's going to be aired broadcasting?
We could edit this out. Seth.
Come on,
Don't forget we're just catching up, dude.
It's kind of like the DOs and the MDs don't like each other.
Correct,
right?
But it's funny because they are the same thing. Literally, DOs are MDs. They are,
and it's probably like the DOs and the MDs don't like each other, but the DOs and the MDs together don't like chiropractors.
No one likes chiropractors. Chiropractors are fake.
And they don't even think about PhDs. They're just on a different level. Like
it's a whole different thing. One does research and one helps medicine. Like one.
Well,
helps
obviously,
people.
we know how doctors of chemistry feel about chiropractors now.
You get a certificate. Like it's not even a degree.
He
It's
says
a
that until
certificate.
he gets back
You have to get a degree. There's no way.
No, chiropractics is a certificate program.
It's like a 3-year
Yeah.
school. It's a 3-year school.
You don't get a degree in chiropractic.
Do you get a degree? But you get a degree in like law school, right?
I mean, you get your juris degree. It's a
Would
juris
you consider
doctorate.
a juris doctorate? Would you consider them a doctor?
No, because you can also get a doctorate of jury or something like that. I don't know. My mother-in-law has it. I don't know. She tried.
We're mapping this out, Tyler. We're going to slowly get all the beefs.
How to become a
between all the
chiropractor? Requires attending chiropractic school, earning a doctor of chiropractic degree, passing a series of exams, and securing licensure by the state, province.
Yeah, it sounds like a fake degree.
But dude, there's no way somebody could basically kill you, like by potentially snap your neck without having some sort
Why not? Holistic doctors do it all the time, dude.
Yeah,
acupuncturists.
Yeah, I was gonna say people do shove you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess you're right. Yeah, I think we should.
The people who draw your blood don't have a degree to draw your blood. They take a 6-week course. That's it.
Yeah, shit. They train you how to do it in the army.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I know in a pinch, I know how to draw your blood, and I've only ever done it once. I haven't even taken the class.
Actually, I feel like I would fuck that up. How do you do it?
It's really simple. You just have to tie off up here.
Yeah.
And then you have to find the proper vein. And then it's all about the angle at which you put the needle in.
The angle of the dangle always is.
Always the angle of the dangle.
So you have to like try to. How do you know that you're actually like are like the veins wide enough that like the needle tip? It's flopping around in there. It's not like a.
It's not really flopping per se because it's like so a vein is like a straw, and sometimes you know how you suck a straw, it like tightens. When you put the vein in, it starts to clamp down. Not enough that blood won't pass through, but like it's not the needle's not going.
Do people like poke through veins to the other side?
Oh yeah, I had when someone was practicing on me at my old job, they poked right through. It's very painful, incredibly painful. I had a big bruise for like 4 days.
You know that you're not in a vein because you're not getting blood
out. Correct. You will only so what they call it is a flash. So essentially what happens is you won't get blood out unless you stab it into one of those tubes. It's a vacuum sealed tube that creates the vacuum that will suck out the blood. But what they call it is a flash. So you see the flash of the blood when you get into the vein, and that's when you pop it into the tube, and then it'll suck it out. And if you're not sucking it out, you're not in the vein.
Gotcha.
And you wouldn't get into an artery; they're too small.
And so shots and vaccines.
Those go into muscles. Those don't go into blood.
Yeah, so you could hit somebody like anywhere in the bicep, tricep, shoulder muscle.
Well, yes and no. So with the vaccine we don't discuss, you'll notice that they always poked them up higher because if you poked it too low, I forget, there was something that like there was an issue if it poked too low, it didn't go into a muscle that.
Oh, there was an issue with it.
There are lots of.
That's one of the excuses. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Again, guys, we've been over this. I'm not the right doctor. I'm not the right doctor.
True. Neither is Dr. Fauci, apparently. So. Is he a real doctor?
I mean, I believe he is. Yeah, I believe he's got his MD. He probably did an MD PhD, to be honest.
But that was what, back in 1942?
Yeah, I mean, they were still using like mouth pipettes to get blood out of people, so it's fine.
Well, dude. So we should actually touch on this though, because like if you think about science has changed so much over the years of what was fact and what's no longer fact, right? Like science back in the day was like lobotomizing people.
Time out. Remember, these things that happen are based on the ideas of science, which have been sound for a long time. Okay. Just because Mendelev's periodic table wasn't the same as Rutherford's periodic table, they still had the same principles binding them. They just arranged it in a different perception. Okay. So it's the same idea behind whatever is actual physical things. So physical chemicals, whatever you want to call them, atom based, they are what they are. Our interpretation of them can be different. So remember that. So in 10 years from now, when people get all scared because they still think that mRNA is, I don't know, making their brain atrophy, we can look back and see how different people have used the science of mRNA than they did 10 years ago. Does that make sense?
So what you're saying is these could be dangerous.
They could be. They could also not be.
Dr. Fauci, by the way, is he's an immunologist.
Yeah, he's probably got his MD PhD, if I had to guess.
He's the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases since 1984.
What was the thing that they were saying he lied about?
The masks.
No, proof of something, research or something.
Oh, where it jumped from where they weren't. I think they weren't like funding. Was it
the Wuhan lab, right?
Yeah. Was it proof of concept?
Proof of concept.
Was it proof of concept or was it like proof of no? I think it was called something else. They're like testing. They were doing testing where it could like jump from one host to another.
Gain of function.
That was it. Gain of function.
I haven't done a lot of.
I think the mask thing was that he had an email saying the masks like would keep it from getting like it would stop like large. What would you call it? Droplets of spit, but it wouldn't really help not contain the virus. Because I guess which makes sense. Because I think Tyler,
so in not his defense, but the defense of masks, that's well known. That's why people were said that K90 or N95s were the only ones that worked because they had the right pore size to not let it through. Your standard everyday mask is going to let the virus through. It's smaller than the pore size of those masks, but those are also Dollar Tree masks.
No one was enforcing them.
Yeah,
correct. Well, you couldn't get them. I mean, they were so sucked up by the hospital system, you couldn't get them. So
you had to get it from China.
China? Well, that's a whole different. We could do a whole podcast just on China. I mean, shit.
I got an N95 mask because, like, my sister just had a kid, and like she's like,
you did not have You probably had a KN95.
Oh,
N95 masks you have to get fit for. You have to actually get fit for.
They're like
respirators. Sucks,
right?
Dude. Yeah. It honestly, it sucks. Like, look, I get there's a lot of jobs. Like, I shouldn't complain because like surgeons will wear it for like a 30-hour straight surgery. But honestly, being on the plane and having to wear it and being the only, I feel like when I'm on the plane, by the way, and I'm next to somebody, I always have to say, yeah, I have to wear this mask because I just had a niece and my sister wants me to wear it because the baby like didn't get all her antibodies because she couldn't like like I don't want people to think I'm like one of those that's still wearing the mask.
I
Like,
mean, you should probably
it's
just.
like-
So really, what you should do is probably just tell your sister to suck it up, man.
well, I was like for 6 months I'll do it, but like after that I'm not doing it. I'm sorry, like it's just like a pain in the ass. I don't want to be like a baby about it, but it's like I don't want to wear this fucking mask on the
So
plane.
wait, why is she making you wear the mask? If you don't mind me asking, we can cut
Still?
Yeah,
this.
because
We can cut this, but
yeah,
continue.
still yeah, because the baby like like that little like where your lip here is attached,
Yeah.
like that was like I don't know, very attached, whatever it was. She couldn't attach to Trish this way. She couldn't get
Oh,
all the
she had to get it.
antibodies.
She had to get it snipped.
I think so. So because she didn't
So
have
wait,
all her
did your
antibodies,
sister? So so your sister's not giving her breast milk then? Still, I'm
I
confused.
guess not. No,
Sorry, diving into it way more than I need to. Not my place, not my time. But
no, I don't think she's fair.
you can still I mean, again, I think I know a thing or two about this now, but the babies still get the antibodies if you feed them breast milk. It doesn't have to come
Yeah, I don't know
directly
if
from
she's
the
like,
breast.
yeah, I don't know if she's pumping or not, but like she's like she doesn't have all her antibodies, and so blah blah blah. And like we had these friends that went on vacation, they got COVID, and they were on a plane. And I'm like, yeah, but was it the plane or was it like the resort? Like, do I really have to wear this? I said, all right, for 6 months I'll do it, but after that, like, sorry, but I'm not gonna travel with a
Should
mask.
do.
And if you don't like it, then I'm just not gonna see the kid. Like, what I'm not gonna keep doing this bullshit.
I mean, in her defense, you should do 9 months because the baby can get the COVID vaccine at 9 months. They can't get it at 6 months, sadly.
Yeah, I don't think she's gonna. I don't think she's gonna get
Those
the
kids
COVID
get
vaccine.
mad shots, dude. I feel bad for them babies. They get
Right.
like stabbed every
Did
time they go to the doctor.
did yours get the vaccine?
Oh, heck yeah. Dude, my wife's in healthcare. There's no way I was not going to protect my kid. And it wasn't even a matter of is it good or not good. It's the fact that my wife is exposed to it on a regular basis. So I need to protect my baby as much as I can. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's fair.
the theory is we probably would have been fine without it because the kid is on breast milk. So technically speaking, it gets all the antibodies from Caitlin, but
Yeah, yeah,
better
yeah.
safe
That
than
makes
sorry.
sense. Well, I think for the next one, I think if you're okay speaking about it, like you had done that research around like pilots who went up in the air and they had all those chemicals like released, like that made them tired or whatever. Not tired, but you know what I mean.
I can talk about it if you want in the next one. Yeah.
A bit of a
I can
sweet
tell you that I
Yeah, can
disbelieve
you?
it now. Absolutely.
You
I've
don't
been doing
believe
my
it?
own research on that. Yeah, we'll dive into that on the next. There's a lot. I think we do this again. There's a lot I want to talk about. But yeah, ask me like if you give me a prep on science questions, I'll know some of them and other ones I will happily look things up or I can try and dumb things down. I don't
Okay.
claim to be an expert on anything too crazy. I know a little bit about a lot of different things. So
All right, yeah. And then Tyler, do you want to? I could edit this one. Just
Okay.
throw the files in the folder and I'll start piecing it together. Yeah, Seth, we should honestly have you on all of them.
dude, just let me know when you're doing them. If I can make it great, and if not, I'll just be that guy that pops in every once in a while.
Yeah.
But
Works.
by next time, I fully expect there to be a like last question thing at the end.
Yeah. What are some good ones? Like, should we bucket it by like current affairs?
I think you gotta make it fun.
I mean, yeah, make it fun, make it a shitstorm. Like
Yeah, we could do that.
Seth, what are the top 3 things on your bucket list?
top 3 things on my bucket list
That's a
would
good
be
one. That's a good one.
Oh, we only got a
skydiving,
minute left. Fuck.
skydiving, scuba diving, and
Hurry.
and flying my own plane.
That you
Flying.
built your own plane? You built it?
No, I want to fly a plane though. Like I want to be put the pilot in a plane.
What kind of plane?
Probably just a small single engine.
Not like a
P
Wrights
51
Brothers plane.
Mustang?
No,
Ooh.
no.
I want to fly a Wrights Brothers plane. What's the best book you've ever read?
Hmm.
Best
Good one.
book I've ever read. Does it have to be a category based or just
Nope.
any period? Best book I've ever read.
Take
I'm
it
gonna
where
go.
you wish.
I'm gonna go recency bias on it actually. Terminal List by Jack Carr. Fantastic.
Never read
What's
it.
that about? What's that about?
It's so it's actually an Amazon series too with Chris Pratt. It's about a Navy SEAL who was part of an experimental process by some shady government folk, and he finds out about it, and he also finds out that he's going to die. So he comes up with a list of people who caused him to be in a situation, and he basically hunts them down for vengeance.
Wait,
It's
so
really good. So Jack Carr wrote 6 books about Navy SEALs. So he's an ex-Navy SEAL who's written 6 books about a Navy SEAL. It's really good. I strongly suggest it.
an experiment by shady government folk
Yeah, so
that
basically what they
people
were
can
trying to do
die.
is, well, they were trying to make super soldiers, and they gave them brain tumors instead.
Rich was going for the vaccine.
Yeah, I
Before
know. I just
they're
ignored
trying
it.
to make super soldiers
I
before
just
a
ignored it.
potential war with China.
But yeah, I think that would be recency bias in it, but it also still is a very good book. Like I read it after having Colin, and I read it in a week and a half. And I don't read
Okay.
any book in a week and a half now. So
If you could live anywhere, where would you choose?
Mm.
No restrictions.
you're gonna hate me, but I would live where I currently live. And I'll tell you why. Because all the fancy places that you want to visit, the Greeces of the world, the Hawaiis of the world, they are no longer vacations if you live there. You have to have your everyday life there. So I
That's
want my
good. That's
fancy
good.
places to still be vacations, and I still enjoy where I live now.
Okay, that's fair. If space travel was a thing, would you get out? Would you go up there? Would you get on one of Elon's rockets?
Probably not Elon's, but yes, I would go to space. We can do a whole nother podcast on my thoughts on Elon Musk.
I know you don't like Elon Musk.
Oh yeah, let's do that one. Okay, in your spare time when you're not, being a dad, when he's asleep, what do you do for fun right now? What are you researching? What are you into? What are you? What's
Do
your
a lot
thing?
of reading. So we do a lot of like mind off stuff. So your mind is on so much when you have the kid. So when
Yeah.
he goes to bed, it's mindless stuff. So we'll stream a TV show or read a book. Like last night, we just sat out on the deck and had a glass of wine, watching the deer in the backyard. Um, when we're on
Nice.
parents' time, we go to a baseball game, watch, go to the breweries or wineries. We love adventuring, so there's always the hikes and things like that. But there is not much me time these days. That much I know it's true, especially this time of year when I have to do yard work and make our house look pretty and all that other fun stuff.
What would be the one thing worth trading your firstborn for?
Nothing. Nothing in the entire
Nothing?
world. Nothing in the entire world.
Nothing.
The
You could
Iron
say it was
Throne.
Nope.
The Iron
Nothing in the
Throne.
entire you could sell me you could offer me the amount of money in US debt currently, and I would say no to it. I would say no
Yeah,
to it.
that's how I feel about Tilly. Not for sale.
They're
Not for
basically the
sale.
same. I mean, they're basically the same.
Dog's my life. Okay, what would be I guess time travel? Where would you go? Oh, I got a few. So time travel, what would be a time period that you would go back to?
Top one,
Or
right? The
or
first
or
one.
if you can go in the future, like would you go back in time or forward?
Ooh. Do you get to
What are
return to
my
your current time?
what are my
You're
time
the same
travel?
age though. You're
So
the
what are
same
my
age.
time travel rules? Do they see me as a person in their time, or do they see me as someone in the future? Do I get
No,
to
you,
interact
you
with
could
people?
yeah, you can interact.
Does he
Okay, then
have to come back?
I guess you don't have to come back.
I would go back in time, but I would not go to a specific period. I'd want to live through a bunch of different historical things, like
Mhm.
looking at it from the outside. So I don't want to live
Okay.
through the 40s per se, but I want to be in America when they find out that, on V-Day and on VJ Day.
Oh,
And
that's
you know what
cool.
I mean? Like I would rather see events versus time
Like be
periods.
in Times Square on that day to see like how crazy shit
Right.
Yeah, you
was.
you
Yeah.
see a picture and it's like Seth kissing that lady instead of the sailor.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, so you go back in time. What is one famous historical figure? It could be a celebrity, if you're a loser and you worship actors and actresses. But what's one like famous person, historical figure that you would have dinner with?
Albert Einstein.
Really?
Yep.
The fuck would you talk about?
A true scientist.
Honestly, I wouldn't even talk to him about his theories on science or anything of that. I would want to see how he kind of took the path that he took. So remember, he was a high school dropout. He didn't do
Mm-hmm.
well in school. He was a social outcast. So like, I want to see how he went from doing that to who he became.
Yeah, while you were there, ask him how he thought that hairdo looked good.
Yeah, like an idiot.
Yeah, moron.
What's your
Interesting.
favorite beer? or wine or wine.
Favorite beer is Switchback, small brewery in Vermont.
Oh, I've been there. I've been there.
Favorite wine depends on the time of year, depends on what I'm much more of a what I'm eating it with wine. Beer I can
Okay.
drink whenever. Wine is it depends on what I'm eating.
Is that like a
Definitely
white with fish and like a red with meat or pastas?
yeah, red with anything that's red meat or pastas, whites with anything
Yeah.
else.
Okay.
I don't drink nearly as much wine as I drink beer. I love beer. I love drinking beer. I love making beer. Tyler, that beer kit you gave me gets such a workout these days.
Love it.
So
Love it.
Okay. So, what else? What else, Tyler?
Oh, that was pretty good rapid fire.
yeah,
That
you
was
guys
pretty
did
good.
good. That
The
was good.
lightning round.
What place would you like to visit the most?
Italy.
Any
You've been there,
particular
haven't
city?
you?
What?
I thought you went to Italy.
No, we went to Greece on our honeymoon.
All over Italy? Just
Yeah,
a particular city? Okay,
absolutely.
all over.
Yep. I do, 3 days in one spot, 2 days in another spot. I make a whole week of it. It's a much easier to travel country than some of the other European countries because it's kind of small-ish.
Which character on Friends do you most relate with?
Chandler,
Probably my least favorite one. You
not
do like
surprising.
Chandler though.
Why? Because
He's not funny.
because the guy who plays Chandler is a drug addict and he's playing someone who's not a drug addict. Rich is that why you don't like him?
Yeah, oh, we found another irrational anger.
He's not. No, he's like not funny. I don't. He's, like his style of comedies, but like Ross is annoying too. I pretty much only like Joey,
So you like stupid comedy?
Phoebe, and
So you like stupid comedy, and you
I
like
guess.
looking at Rachel. I understand.
Oh, I'm gonna actually go on record saying this a little bit overrated. A little bit overrated.
All right, here's one for you:
Oh, turn the tables.
Jennifer Aniston or Marissa Tomei.
I don't know who Marissa Tomei is.
She's one from the two Utes. My cousin Vinny.
My cousin Vinny. Yep.
Probably.
Marissa Tomei.
Yeah, Marissa Tomei.
Oh no, I was reading that a lot. I wasn't
Like back in the day. Back in the day.
I mean, even right now, Marissa Tomei is. I mean, they're both still primo, but
Yeah, but I'd say back in the day, Marissa Tomei.
yeah.
Mm,
Tyler's gonna say Jen Aniston.
yeah, I think so.
I mean, a lot of people would. A lot of people would. All right, Seth, what do you got? What else you got?
Oh, that was it. I didn't complain with questions. I was a guest on this one. I can have questions for next time because I'm not a guest anymore. I'm a recurring. So
What are your thoughts on Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez
I
arguing on
don't
the red
care.
carpet?
I don't care. They weren't. Did you not read the article? A lip reader said they were discussing poses.
What soap operas are you now watching in the evening? Rich has his list of 3.
So we watched Love is Blind.
Is that the one you watch, Rich?
Yeah, are these soap operas?
I mean they're modern day soap operas, dude. Let's be real. Why? What were you thinking?
Rich is
What
like,
is
oh
your
shit, I'm watching soap operas.
I thought they were just like reality TV. I don't.
reality TV is a soap opera,
It's
dude.
a
Well,
modern
soap operas like
opera.
All My Children.
That's the modern soap
Yeah,
opera.
in 1970.
Hey, my mom watched that in the 90s. I watched it
So
too.
we watch Love is Blind. I still watch the Jersey Shore when it comes out, the Family Vacation. I know Rich loves the people from Jersey Shore. He's loved them since OG Jersey Shore came out because they depict everything about New Jersey.
That's how New Jersey actually is.
Yeah, duh.
I've lived here long enough now. I'm more New Jersey than you,
Bro,
Rich. I know.
yeah, okay, yeah. Whatever you say.
Where do you live?
Now?
Yeah.
Chicago. I'll just say Chicago.
But you don't. You don't. You don't even live close enough to say you live in Chicago.
I live like 40 minutes out. Wait, what else? It's only 2.
I only asked you one.
No,
What
no,
day is
three,
it?
three. You asked for 3 soap operas.
Oh, Love is Blind, Jersey Shore. I don't know if I have a third one. I don't think I have a third one. Who farted?
Oh, you could hear
That was me clearing my throat.
No, I actually farted.
Oh,
You actually heard that?
I did. That was impressive. That was
I didn't realize that was
impressive.
a fart. So Love is Blind is actually a pretty great show.
I mean, they're terrible human beings, but like, yeah, it's a good one to watch.
I honestly think that's kind of a shitty concept in a way though, because like love's not really blind, totally blind. And like if somebody like let's be honest, right? Like it's not. And let's just say you really like somebody for the personality, but then that door opens and there's somebody that's just not physically attractive to you.
Did you not watch the most recent season, Rich?
I did.
Yeah, so you know the couple that broke up before they even left the island because she was not physically attracted to him.
And like okay, oh, so here's the thing though. Like, was she okay? Did you watch the previous season?
I've watched every season.
Me too. So there was that Indian guy and that Indian girl. He wasn't
Oh,
attracted to that
Shake.
Indian girl.
Yeah.
Dude, he got fucking shit on for saying that he wasn't attracted to her. And then
I don't
that,
think, now hang on though. I don't think he got shit on for saying he wasn't attracted to her. I think he got shit on for how he said it.
well, okay, fair. That's fair. Yeah, he could have put it a little more eloquently. But
Exactly.
like the other girl this season was a huge bitch. And they just kind of got on her for like saying, hey, you were like making fun of people and this and that, versus being like, you know what I mean? She didn't get the same level of treatment, I guess, or like, shit on.
I mean, I
Look,
think she did I think she did in the public eye. I don't think she did
yeah, I think
necessarily
in the
on the
public eye.
show.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Like what's it, Lachey and his wife were like going in on that one guy versus her instead of being like,
Dude,
oh,
his
we were
wife
physically
is
attracted.
Lachey's wife is crazy. She is psychotic.
Yeah,
She also, I don't understand why they're on that show. I don't understand why that show needs hosts. It's not a game show. I don't get it.
that's true. Yeah, that's true. I think but like it's kind of fucked up because it does sort of set you up to be the bad guy if you're not physically attracted to the other person.
Well, I think the whole thing that gets lost is love is blind, but like that's the actual experiment is can you fall in love with a person and then like let's face it, attractiveness is a part of a successful relationship, right? And so I think the idea is you want to build the emotional before you get to the physical. So that maybe if the physical is not fully there, you can overcome it because you
Yeah,
have
yeah,
such a strong emotional.
yeah, yeah,
So I think that people are just like, oh my
yeah.
God, terrible person, but they don't actually understand the quote unquote experiment.
Wow, there's a
Yeah,
lot
I
more
get
that
that.
goes into the show than I thought.
Dude, you should watch. It's
I'm
You
honestly, it's
not
should
watching
watch it.
entertaining.
It's
I'm
a
not watching
terrible
this shit.
show. I mean,
I'm
It's
not
it's
watching this
entertaining
shit.
as fuck, dude. There's also a Too Hot to Handle. Did
I
you
have
watch that
not
one?
watched that one. No.
That's a good one. They basically like they're dating, but then they can't touch each other, otherwise they lose. Well, they can touch each other, but they can't kiss, they can't have sex, they can't jerk off, they can't do all this stuff. Otherwise, they lose money.
Sounds like marriage. Oh,
Hey,
Then what's the other one? There's Love Is Blind.
it's Perfect Match. That's the new one.
Perfect Match was okay. I watched that.
There's the ultimatum.
That dude, that show's fucked up,
Yes,
dude.
it
Like
is. Yes, it is.
our society's fucked up. But like so Tyler, the ultimatum is basically like two people that have been dating for a while. One of them gives the other person the ultimatum. And so they put all these couples together and then they basically date another person from another couple. And then they have to decide like, do they want to get married to the person they were originally with, or do they want to like be with that other person, which is just like a fucking weird swingers
that
party
is a
thing. It's
weird
just
thing.
fucking
So,
just fucked up.
what's the ultimatum?
Ultimatum, that's the
Marry
ultimatum.
me or I'm leaving you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Oh yeah, yeah,
gotcha.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, or it's like, hey, I'm happy with this other person. It's like, bro, if you even would think to date somebody else, like, then yeah, like, why would I get married? It's a weird, that's a weird show. There's one more that I'm missing, dude. That's like a really popular
The
show.
Price is Right.
Dude, great show. Bob Barker, great show. Remember Whose Line Is It Anyway?
No, that was a good show.
Great show.
Those guys
Great
were
show.
geniuses, man. They were so good. Wayne Brady.
Yeah, did they always used to do like a singing one at the end or
Yeah,
something?
all the time, dude. It was so good.
Yes.
That was such a good
Yeah.
show. That was
I
such
have
a
to
good
watch
show.
that.
Like, do you ever, when you were growing up, did you ever have just like your parents would always like watch a show at night and like everyone would be in the living room, maybe watching a show together?
Dude, it
Walker
was
Texas
TGI
Ranger.
It was TGI Fridays, bro. Or no, TGI Thursday, TGI Fridays.
TGIF?
TGIF. It had
The restaurant?
had like Family Matters. It had
Sabrina the
Boy
Teenage
Meets
Witch?
World, Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Ours was Walker
Yeah.
Texas Ranger. Always was on, I
Dude,
feel
really?
like when I
That's
was a kid,
hilarious.
yeah.
That's hilarious. We had the one that I
And
always
then
think
Jeopardy
of.
and shit. But
I think of Everyone Loves Raymond. And
mhm.
then for like a year or two, it was Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang Theory. When did that come out? That was like mid
It was
2000s.
2007.
Gotcha.
Yeah, yeah. And then we went off to college. So like, then I wasn't around too much. But Everybody Loves Raymond. I can't tell you how much of that I've watched. What are some other good shows? I think we're gonna just pull this last segment, like from this last segment. Not shows, questions. Okay. Let's see. What are we missing, Tyler? What are we missing?
I
Seth, what do
mean,
you think we should ask?
Star Wars, Mandalorian. Are you talking about shows still or no?
No, so what are
I mean,
questions that we
Mandalorian
probably
is a
should ask?
decent show.
Said, how
A
do you
lot
feel
of
about Star Wars? You a big Star Wars fan?
Not anymore. I think they're way too overhyping it. I think that they put way too much into it. I think some of them are good. I watched The Mandalorian. I watched Andor. I watched Obi-Wan. I think that Star Wars should stick to movies. I think that their series are too drawn out, but they're all right.
Obi-Wan I didn't like. Well, I like
Obi-Wan,
parts of it.
Obi-Wan just seemed like it didn't need to be
I found
uh
inconsistencies. I
yeah,
think I
it
was
just
telling
didn't
you
need to be a mini series.
in episode 4, Leia and Obi-Wan act like they don't know each other, but the whole
Correct.
part of the season, the whole premise of the season was he was protecting her
Mm-hmm.
as a young girl, so they don't remember each other when they're older. I don't think
Don't
they
ask
tied it. I
questions.
don't think they tied it in well.
Don't ask questions. Andor was decent, and people will shoot me for this because for some reason everybody seems to love Cassian Andor. Um, Good miniseries,
I thought it was
five
good.
episodes too long. 5 episodes too long though. It did not need to be 12 episodes.
I was entertained. I was entertained. So it was whatever. I find Star
Mandalorian,
Wars is my like go-to now when I'm bored and nothing else. I just put it on.
Mandalorian's good, but I have no idea how they're ever going to actually end the show. I
Yeah,
think they're kind of lost. Like I don't even know what the premise of the show is
the
anymore.
show
It's
every episode's the same. He gets his ass kicked and then gets rescued somehow.
correct. Correct. That's exactly it.
What is okay? Here's a question we should ask. What is a fantasy universe that you would live in? Like what's the fantasy universe that you would want to live in?
That's a good one. That's
So
a
that's
good
like
one.
that's like that could be Star Wars, that's Lord of the Rings, that could be Marvel. Even though I guess that's sort of like would you be a superhero? Otherwise, I don't know if it'd be worth like living in a. Well, I guess that's here, right? That's the same world. So,
I mean, I think Lord of the Rings would be a pretty sweet world to live in.
you think Tyler? Did you watch Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, I watched all Lord of the Rings.
Okay, so Lord of the Rings or a Star Wars?
Star Wars.
I think Lord of the Rings would be pretty sweet,
They're
especially
always at war and shit. You could go off on a random planet in Star Wars and never be fucking bothered with that stuff.
that's true. You could. There were a lot of remote areas in Star Wars, but also like
There's also space pirates.
that's true. There are space pirates, and also you're controlled by an evil empire. No one rules over you in Lord of the Rings, except for the Return of the King, but he seems like a nice guy.
Then you got to worry about orcs.
Yeah, you're always
Yeah,
worried
but
about
if you're
Eric's murking you.
yeah, but if you're chilling with Gimli, son of Gloin, um, which apparently his name is not for the longest time. I thought his name was Gloin. His name is Glowin.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But
Well,
yeah,
I think I don't know. Actually, I don't know what I would want to. Man, that's like
Dude,
really hard.
I've been on Earth my whole life. Why the fuck would I not want to go check
but
out
you're not
space?
on Earth. You're in Middle Earth. They're different.
Same.
I think it'd be cool to be actually okay. What? So you said Lord of the Rings, Seth?
Hmm.
What race would you want to be in Lord of the Rings?
Um, Dwarfs, bro. I would be a
You want to be a
dwarf.
dwarf?
I
Like
like
you
dwarves
want to
the
like
most
live
too.
underground and
Yeah, absolutely.
wait, but dude, the dwarf women, not good, not good.
Okay, but do I need a dwarf woman when I'm kicking ass with my hammer?
True, true. I'd say honestly, not gonna lie, being a man would be cool if you were from Rohan. But dude, a hobbit. I literally would maybe want to be a hobbit.
What
So
about
you want to
dragon?
be, so wait, you want to be an alcoholic midget with fuzzy feet?
Dude, all I do is just chill. They do little gardening and chilling. The
Oh, right.
Shire's beautiful.
That's right. We are talking about the guy who wants to be an NFL kicker.
If there's
Bro,
what other occupation, right? If you're not doing what you're doing today, what is the other occupation you do?
I want to own a
Right.
winery, and I'm gonna.
I was gonna
That's,
say my life's goal is to own a brewery.
but not
Is to,
because I want to make wine, just because I want the atmosphere.
oh no, I wanna brew beer. I mean, my retirement plan is to retire to Vermont and work one day a week at Switchback because they are employee owned. So I can own Switchback stock if I work there one day a week. And then we'd be in retired to Vermont, which is a gorgeous state to live in when you don't have to actually work.
It is a
So
gorgeous state. That's
honestly,
true.
yeah, if I could be a head brewer, I would 1000%. That would be my job.
What about you, Rich?
Oh,
Dog trainer.
yeah, that'd be one. That would be one. I think there would be a lot of frustrations with that though at times, right? Because you're dealing with like little puppies. I think that would be
Hunter
one though.
gatherer.
Well, honestly, you mentioned Tyler, you mentioned like a
French
wine.
Foreign Legion.
Not anymore. Um, so I think actually working on a vineyard and just being like a field hand, just like would be like legit,
Okay.
dude.
Wait, we can make this happen. You can work for me when I'm old there.
I remember Disney has the French Pavilion used to have this video where it would just like it was an old video, but it would show France in the countryside, and there was this one scene where they're at a vineyard, and it's like the people have like buckets. It's like two guys, they have like a not like a pole, and on that pole there's like a bucket, like a big bucket, and in that bucket there's I guess it's a bushel. It's full of grapes, and they're like taking it back to like the chateau looking place where they guess they make all the wine. I'm like, bro, what a peaceful life that would be just to pick grapes and just crush them all day, like and just make wine and just chill. Probably something like that would be a cool job or history teacher, but probably not even that because the kids don't give a shit about history. So
History teacher by day, wine crusher by night.
yeah, I
Ooh,
think it'd be
phys
cool to
ed
work with
teacher.
that.
Phys ed teacher would
Dude,
be awesome.
that could be very fun. Yeah, that could be very fun. That could be fun. Seth, what did you say again?
Oh, I'm gonna be a brewer, a head
A
brewer.
brewer, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
Hmm.
I'm trying to think of any other good questions. Tyler, what are some of the top questions you think we've asked?
Already?
Yeah. Like which ones popped out at you? If we're trying to get to like four.
I honestly forgot we're even asking questions. I thought we were just talking.
No.
Yeah, I kind of got lost in here.
uh, I have to listen.
Do you think
if you could only have one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Pizza.
like every day?
Yeah.
Pizza. Pizza.
Is there like peripherals to this where it's like, like if you eat, are there any like health consequences?
No. You're eating the
Okay.
same thing every day for the rest of your life. I'd hope there were no health consequences.
What if you eat cake for the rest of your life and your life's only 15 more days because you're eating cake every day?
You die of
I was gonna say
diabetes.
ice cream.
Is that what you're picking? Ice cream?
Like a blizzard from Dairy
You
Queen.
take that over pizza?
I mean, it makes you happy what makes you happier when you eat it? A blizzard or a
Pizza.
pizza?
I love pizza.
Really?
I mean,
Yeah.
pizza's really good.
I feel like pizza though I need something that's gonna always be hitting that pleasure center.
That's
Pizza, like
pizza for
after a
me.
while.
I'm sorry. When it's negative 10 degrees out, you think that ice cream is going to hit the pleasure center?
You don't think you're
Well,
gonna feel sick after taking all that dairy?
no, where there's no health consequences. Right. So I think pizza, I don't know. I can see pizza's great. It has to be pizza from back home.
Fuck, I want a
Pizza
pizza now.
pizza here, I would
I had pizza for dinner
go
tonight, so
to
it's
that.
kind of just fresh on my brain.
What? Oh yeah, what did you choose, Seth? What would you choose?
Probably pizza. It's
Yeah.
just so good. Or bagels. I love a good
Ooh,
bagel.
I could do bagels too. That's what I ate before the night before I did this last race. I ate like a sleeve and a half of bagels the night before, and I was telling my buddy Pat that he's like, "You're so fucking weird. Like you didn't even put anything on it." I was like, "No, I just ate a sleeve and a half of Thomas bagels."
Are you one of
Dude,
those
sometimes bread
weirdos?
is just so good.
Are you one of those weirdos who eats food for like fuel source only
Oh
and
yeah,
not for
because I have to. I don't really care
not
afterwards.
enjoyment? That makes me sad. Food is supposed to make you happy, and flavor makes me happy.
Yeah.
This is why I could never run 100 miles though. So
Yeah, dude, 100 much. That's insane. What's a life goal of yours, Seth?
That's a tough one, man. I don't know. I have a pretty happy life right now. I mean, obviously, I want to advance the career I have at some point when I'm able to, but like right now, my job is where it's at. I have a happy family. I live in a place I like. It's like we were talking about earlier. Like I don't know. I think I'm achieving my life goals right now.
Do you still have
I,
that whiteboard with your like life goals and dreams written on them? I used to have it at school.
yeah, no, I think I think I wouldn't say I necessarily have life goals. I think I have a picture of what I want my life to be, and currently I'm living that. So I think we're doing okay.
What are some of the things that you like? Do you have? What are some of your biggest regrets?
Saying no to things that I shouldn't have said no to when I was younger. And that
Like what?
is like in college. Like I feel like we did not have a college experience. Um,
For the first two
yeah,
years,
for the
definitely.
first 2.5 to 3 years,
Yeah.
absolutely. Um, I mean, regrets can be anything from I regret getting behind the wheel of a car after taking shots at a bar and getting pulled over and getting a Dewey when I was 24 years old. Like that's obviously a regret, but
Wait, you did?
yeah, I never told you that story. I was
No.
up in
How did?
yeah, I
Did
was
you
up
know
in
this, Tyler?
Syracuse.
I don't think so.
I mean, it got knocked down. Like I don't have a Dewey on my record, but yeah, I got pulled over. I blew 0.16.
Is that upstate somewhere?
Yeah, I was up in Syracuse. Yeah, I went to the basketball game and drank a lot there, and then I went to a bar with a couple friends and drank there and got pulled over about a mile and a half from my house.
Damn.
Yeah, it's not fun. It cost me probably $8,000 or $9,000 when all was said and done.
Lawyers.
I'm still not allowed to go to Canada for the next 3 years.
Nothing special there anyway.
No, no. So, but yeah,
Wait, still not allowed?
it's been 7 years,
It need to
so
be 10.
needs to be 10. Yep.
Like you
Okay,
can't
that would be a
drive into
regret.
Canada.
I can't be in Canada because it's a felony in Canada. So they
Uh,
don't allow you to cross the border as a felon.
hmm,
I don't know that.
Mhm.
What about you, Tyler?
what about me? What was the question?
Or like, what are some of your major, not major, like, what are things you regret in life, like earlier in
Not
life?
going on the Jurassic Park ride at Disney World with my dad when I don't know why. I actually
You
regret
have
this.
held on to that
I
one.
actually regret this. We went through it.
Fuck, dude,
But
like you could easily like do that.
our little brother was too small to get on the ride. So my mother, my sister, and I all got on the ride. And after we got off, my dad was like, "Okay, like, hey, can I go too? Like, you guys when do you want to go with me?" And we all said no. And I don't know, I felt so bad after
Wow,
that.
what a terrible
He went
child.
alone.
I don't think he went.
Oh,
Yeah, so I don't know. I was like 8.
Wow, what a terrible child.
What else do I regret? Um,
No regrets. You know what I'm saying? Guys seen that movie?
I regret.
no.
Uh, I do. Oh, I don't know if I regret it. I think it would have been fun to like go to like a D3 school for football or for college and play football. So that would have been
Okay.
interesting.
Well, that's kind of like, okay. So, like, I think one of my regrets probably was like not playing football growing up. I wish I played football growing up. I wish I started lacrosse earlier. That's one.
Wish I
Um,
didn't date that bitch.
yeah, I
Hey,
thought that too,
It's
but
watch
funny.
I'm
this.
like, you know what?
Wait, we all have one of those. Two of
Yeah, but
those.
like it kind of makes you who you
I
are.
think that I was gonna say I think that's just life. I think that's just being
I
a
wish I was not uncompatible with that female.
wait, Rich, we have 7 minutes left, and if I don't ask you this question, Caitlin's gonna kill me. Um, when are you getting married?
Uh, we've said we've said fall of 2024, but we've not done any planning, so we'll see.
I mean, I planned a wedding in 9 months in a different state, so
That's true.
I don't think you need a year and a half.
I mean, you just gotta have a backyard party,
Yeah,
right?
true. Well, I think it's, yeah, we're just trying to have something really small. We were talking about
Like,
maybe like going to Italy and like eloping there, but I think we'll end up just maybe going to like
dude,
Charleston and
just don't do a destination wedding. Those suck.
Yeah, like really small, like not invite Seth or Tyler.
I mean, honestly, we talked about just immediate family.
Yeah, I know.
Wow, okay, that's cool. I mean,
That's okay.
you were invited to both our weddings. You came to one of them.
I
Yeah,
came
he
one
only
though.
came to one of our weddings, so I don't think he should expect us to go to his. I'm just saying that out
Oh,
loud.
is that what you said? Don't do destination weddings, Seth?
That's why I was like,
Oh,
don't
okay.
just snitch.
Yeah. No, I mean, because then we talk about that. It's like then if you have, because you said, well, who would you have? And I was like, well, the two of you, probably like one buddy from back home, maybe Michael. I don't know. I was gonna say because then it's like we got to open it up to other people, but she doesn't really keep in touch with anybody from home, so it really might just be like some of my people and then hers. But we talked about like renting a house on the beach in Charleston that would fit our families. So you figure that together, that's probably 12 or 13 people or whatever. Let's see, five, and I have so that's 10, and then on the in-laws, so actually probably like 15. Um, and having everybody so kind of making like a vacation out of it for everybody for like, okay, we're gonna get this house on the beach for like 3 days. So it's not just like driving all the way down there just for the wedding and then turning around. So that's an option, but we just gotta do it. I don't know.
Get your shit together. I want to plan a vacation. Right now, I only have one trip planned without my child. So, no, two. I have two trips planned without my child. So, get your
Where are you
shit
going?
together. We have a wedding in the Catskills in August, and then we're going to Michigan for our anniversary,
We're in Michigan.
Traverse City.
Oh, bro, my buddy lives up there. Got a house. I actually we were looking at houses in Traverse City.
I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, yeah. But then I was like, dude, the winters there must suck ass, and he actually says they kind of do. So, but it's honestly, you're gonna. When are you going, Seth?
You don't know when my anniversary is? What a dick.
Oh, it's you said
August.
anniversary. Sorry, no, September 9th,
September
17th or
Yeah.
19th,
14th.
14th. Okay,
God, you're a terrible friend.
I knew it was a teenth. I knew it was a teenth. Um,
I know I
you're
got
gonna,
pictures on
yeah,
my phone. I can just go
yeah,
back and
yeah.
look at the date.
That's true.
There were some great pictures you two took that day.
There were, man. Joey Orlando.
Hell yeah, man. Hell
You're gonna
yeah.
have you're gonna have a good time up there, dude. So I can give you like a list of some stuff to
Yeah,
do.
can you give me a list?
Yeah, my buddy lives up there, but like Traverse City Whiskey, I think it's called. You should go there. It's like a little what do they call it? What do they call a whiskey place? A distillery,
Distillery. Yeah.
but they've got really really good cherry whiskey. It's really good. They make good old fashions. It's a nice. You should check that place out. It's nothing big.
I do love a good old fashioned. I'm an old man now, so remember, Rich, when you were trying to be an old man at like 23 and drinking old fashions, and I told you
Yeah,
you were disgusting. I love old fashions now.
yeah. It's my go to when I actually have a drink.
I mean, I still like I drink scotch and bourbon straight now. I don't even bother making the mixes, but
Yeah, I did. I once in a while. I usually just have like an old fashioned or Manhattan. But go there. There's a really good pizza place there. Actually, there's downtown's cute. Have you ever been or no?
no.
Okay, there's wineries and vineyards. So yeah, you'll like it, man. You will like it. Wish I can. I mean, if we bought there, I'm sure the return on our house would have been a lot higher because that place is booming. They're bringing in a lot of like millionaire millennials are going there. Some guy who owns like some robotics company. I forget the name of it, like a well-known robotics company. He's invested a lot of his own money to draw a lot of millennial millionaires into town. So there's a lot of money that's coming in there, and the housing market has done pretty decent. Nothing like bonkers, but pretty decent. And then in I think July they have the Cherry Festival. I want to say, or at some point in time they have the Cherry Festival, which is like a whole big to do, and like 700,000 people go to this town. It's something crazy.
I didn't
Everyone's
even
on like
realize there
boats.
was stuff to do up in Michigan.
That's tourism with Rizzy. That's your segment right there. Tourism with Rizzy before the end of the show.
Tor Izzy with Rizzy.
There you
Tourism,
go.
get
Tor
touristy,
Izzy.
Rizzy, Rizzy.
touristy.
All
Tor
right, boys.
Izzy.
There is 2 minutes left on this, and I'm gonna go to bed because it is midnight and I have to be up at 6 a.m. So
All right, bro. Appreciate the time.
hell
This
yeah,
was
man. This has
fun.
been
This was
good.
fun.
Like I
Yeah.
said, keep me in the loop when you do them. If I can make it, great. If not, I'll just be a reoccur. I don't care. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, the whole point was just to catch up and kind of keep in touch and hopefully make it interesting. And people want to listen, great. If not, at least we're on the call for
Yeah, hell yeah,
4
man.
hours.
And yeah, that's a good one. You could turn this into a two-parter real easy.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
I
yeah,
guess 4
and
hours, a little less than 4 hours.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then you can next time we'll turn the record off and we'll talk about those COVID vaccines. I think that's really what Tyler's been itching to talk about.
Oh no,
So
I thought we were talking about that on.
oh, I'm game to. Let's do it then.
It might be a lost episode.
I was gonna say we'll call
do
it the
that.
deep cuts. All right,
All
boys.
right,
I
guys.
will talk to you soon then.
Yep.
Alrighty,
All right.
Later.
Bye-bye.
later.